Adequate notice of the meeting was given pursuant to NJSA 10-4-6 by transmitting said notice to the official newspaper of the city, the Courier News and the Star Ledger on January 3rd, 2014, and by posting a copy of this notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building reserved for such purpose. This and all meetings of the municipal council are open to the media and public, consistent with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law of 1975, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. The following is in order for the City Council's adoption. Mr. Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Council members Brown. Here. Reeves. Absent at roll call. Councilman Storch. Also absent at roll call. Councilwoman Taylor.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Chairman Reed.
Here.
Council President Rivers.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law of 1975, authorizes the public body to exclude the public from this portion of a meeting when specified topics will clearly endanger the public interest or where the personnel privacy or guaranteed rights of the individual whose activities or affairs are to be discussed would be clearly in danger of unwarranted invasion, and whereas the matters about to be presented for discussion clearly meets the circumstances test of such act, now therefore be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the City of Plainfield and the County of Union now adjourns its public session to reconvene an executive session for the following purpose of discussion that follows: pending anticipated litigation contracts negotiations. Be it further resolved that the discussion in executive session will be disclosed in the minutes to be released at the next regular City Council meeting, provided that consideration of the subject matters has been closed, or that where such matters adversely affects the rights of prospective current or past public officers or personnel of the City of Plainfield, such individuals have in writing requested the disclosure of such discussion at a public meeting, and provided such public disclosure will no longer clearly endanger that public interest. Be it further resolved that the public is now hereby excluded from the executive session. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. In executive session. Here. Provided for the Open Public Meeting Law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given, said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News and the Star Ledger on Wednesday, January 8, 2014, as well as posted on the bulletin board in the city clerk's office. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Brown.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry. Okay. Here.
Reeves. Here. Storch. Absent during roll call. Councilwoman Teller. Here. Williams. Here. Chairman Reed.
Here.
Council President Rivers.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Any communications from the mayor?
Yes, from His Honorable Mayor Adrian O'Mac, correspondence dated January 20th, 2014, addressed to members of the governing body requesting advice and consent of the appointment of John Fazo, Class A, 1169 Lorraine Avenue, to serve as a member of the Plainfield Historic Preservation Commission, succeeding self for an unexpired 4-year term, ending January 31st, 2017. From His Honorable Mayor Adrian O'Mac, correspondence dated January 30th, 2014, addressed to members of the governing body requesting advice and consent on the appointments of Charles Tyndall, 56 Academy Avenue, to serve as a member of the Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority, succeeding Alex Tolliver for an unexpired 5-year term, ending February 2nd, 2014. From His Honorable Mayor Adrian O'Mac, correspondence dated January 30th, 2014, addressed to the members of the governing body requesting advice and consent of the appointments of Ronald E. West, Lamar David Maxson, Joseph DeVault, Timothy Thompson, Teron Dow, Jan Massey, John J. Carmencita Powell, and Richard Lear to serve as the members of the Plainfield Cable Television Advisory Board, effective immediately upon adoption and confirmation of oath of office.
I'm sorry. Is there any other communications or petitions?
None at this time, Madam President.
We have received the financial reports. Everyone received the email of the financial reports?
Yeah.
Mr. Reed, did you receive the email of the financial reports?
No, I've been having some difficulty with my emails, so I will ask for a hard copy of the financial report. Just call me on that. Okay?
Have you received any reports of special committees?
No.
The clerk's office, I believe, did we receive them? No, none at this time.
Okay, we have Legal Shield on the agenda for discussion. Is there anyone here from Legal Shield?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Okay. I don't think that there's any reason why this private entity should be, receive a payroll deduction, or the ability to receive a payroll deduction. It's a privately held company, and the same way that residents pay their other bills, their credit card bills, their utility bills, and any other bills that they may have, there's no reason why Legal Shield should be granted any kind of special preference. I was dismayed that Mr. Dunn, who came before the council to discuss it, did not fully disclose his own relationship as an associate with this company. It seemed to me, I would say, deceptive to not disclose his own relationship. I think that our employees are perfectly capable of paying their own bills, and I think that if there is anyone who works for this city who does not have a checking account, that it would be more in the interest of the city to, talk to that individual or those individuals and help them learn how to establish a checking account, etc. But it doesn't seem like the city should be in the business of pulling payroll deductions and in effect paying bills for privately held companies. Thank you.
Sure.
Can I make a comment?
I totally disagree with my colleague. Legal Shield does not cost taxpayers any money. It does not cost the city any money. Almost 100 city employees have signed up for Legal Shield because of various reasons. They may not have checking accounts or whatever, but it is just a courtesy that some municipalities, provide to their employees. So it doesn't cost the city anything, it doesn't cost residents anything, it is just a courtesy that almost, again, 100 people have signed up for it. Thank you.
I think that people who wants this out of their paycheck, it should be fine. It's not. They're not asking for anything. They're not asking the city to pay to contribute. I don't think that we have a right to tell people how to pay their bills or how they can afford to pay their bills. If this is one way that they can afford to pay without having to get a big lump sum at one time, I think they have the right to, and we don't have a right to tell them what to do. It's their money. I think it's totally outrageous that one should sit back and try to say, who knows why a person doesn't have a checking account? That's their business. It's none of anybody else's business.
I would respond by saying that this opens the door for any private company to have the city serve in effect as its bill collector. The same way that, and it's not about, it really is that the city should not be in the business of collecting and paying out the bills of other companies, especially not private ones. This means that before, and I think I mentioned this before one's mortgage is paid, before one's rent is paid, before one pays their credit card bills, and their utilities and their cable, etc., Legal Shield gets paid. There's no reason why people who are responsible for all of their other bills, why this company should receive any kind of preference in having the money automatically pulled from their account. If another company would come forward, say American Express, Bank of America, Comcast, Verizon, etc., and say we want the city to, do automatic payroll deductions for our private companies, then it would be the same thing. People are perfectly capable. Legal Shield is perfectly capable, like any other company that sells products, Macy's, etc., Target, of having, sending the bill to the individual and the individual paying the bill. There's no reason why this company, again, should receive preferential treatment.
You are totally missing the point. Excuse me.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Reeves, 1 second. Corporation Counsel Dave Michello, as you stated, this is not costing the city any money, is that correct?
No, there's no cost, no.
Okay, what can the council do? Because I understand that there's over 100 people that have signed up for this. And to say that they might have had a problem in the past with a checking account, and to say that we can find a way to try to help them get a checking account is wrong. So what can we do as a council to, I know we can't enforce the administration to do anything, but can we adopt a resolution to ask the administration to reconsider having this Legal Shield taken from their paycheck?
You certainly could. As you mentioned, Council President, it is something that falls into the day-to-day operations of the city and therefore falls to the administration to decide whether or not to use the service. However, the council could pass a resolution to recommend the administration take another look at the program or recommend that it adopt the use of Legal Shield. That's something the council could do, but it would purely be a recommendation.
And to the city administrator, as far as you know, again, asking you, because you run the day-to-day operation of the city of Plainfield, how much, if any, would this cost the city of Plainfield?
Well, my understanding is it won't cost us any more than time to actually do it.
And it's a one time.
I don't imagine it's going to take that much time. I can't put a dollar value to it right now, but I'd be more than willing, after you make that recommendation, as council, to take it back and have another discussion with the mayor regarding the program. So,
Thank you.
Okay,
what is the next steps from the council? What do we need from the council to do this?
You would merely need to adopt a resolution to recommend to the administration and the mayor to reconsider the use of Legal Shield. That would be all that would be required.
And at the last meeting, you basically stated that there was no contract. Now, from my understanding, there were over 100 people that signed up for this, this payroll deducted from their paycheck?
That's my understanding. We do not have any agreement with Legal Shield. Of course, that would require an action of council, which has never happened. We do not have a contract. But if the council, and there's no request for a contract coming forward from the administration, but a recommendation from the city council would be the proper resolution at this point.
But excuse me, Legal Shield is not asking for a contract, are they?
No, they're not.
No, it's the individual people who wants to have this deducted from their paycheck. What's the big deal?
Again, I would just add that people can sign up directly for Legal Shield and not pay any commission to individuals. The individuals who came here before the council to discuss Legal Shield have a financial interest in receiving a commission. One can sign up directly with Legal Shield and not pay a commission to interested parties. And again, I really kind of resented the fact that individuals who came forward were not forthcoming in disclosing their personal interest and the financial benefit they would gain. The people who have signed up for Legal Shield, right now they're already, I'm presuming they're paying their bills the same way they pay their other bills. So it doesn't seem to me that they need the city to be involved the same way that they pay all of their other monthly bills.
Well, if I heard her correctly, last week, she stated that they were in danger of being dismissed because they hadn't gotten any deduction from them, because it has to come out of some account.
No, people can still pay by check, money order, etc. It doesn't, if they need the service, again, I would offer the same way that they pay all their other bills, they can pay this bill. It doesn't behoove them to have it come out of the city's payroll. If they were to separate themselves, from the city, they would still have to pay these bills. Am I not right, Council, Corporation Council? What is the benefit for not just this company, but for its competitors, say competitors to Legal Shield, etc., to also get payroll deductions? If I said if I'm a city employee and I say I want to be with Legal Friends or Legal Enemies or any number of companies that offer this same product, would I then go to the city and say I also want this?
I think it's incumbent upon the administration to vet all of the potential payroll deductions, and that's why I mentioned it's a day-to-day function of the administration. I think with the council, though, if I hear the council president correctly, is asking the administration to reconsider the use of Legal Shield by resolution. That's what I understand.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. That is correct. So,
Council President,
yes.
I would also like Legal Shield to actually present the names. While I keep hearing the number of 90 and 80 and 100 and plus names, I've never seen a list that they can certify.
Okay. That's on the
employees.
Yeah. Can I take, council members, can we take a 5-minute recess so we can see if we can get someone from Legal Shield here? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, one sorry. Opposed. Let me see if I can get someone from Legal Shield. Can I have a motion to go back into to agenda fixing, please?
So moved.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, right. Not here yet. Unfinished. We have any unfinished business? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make a comment. I hadn't said anything in reference to the Legal Shield issue. I'm not really concerned who makes a whatever it is, a commission or whatever. What I think our concern has to be is whether or not we are servicing our employees. And it's kind of disheartening to me to hear our colleagues talk about what we call the indigent employee, who does not have a bank account or whatever, that they in turn do not meet the requirements of servicing them for payroll deduction. And that to me is rather unfortunate, because I know many people who do need this kind of service, whether it's Legal Shield or something else. And since it has been done before, rather than getting preoccupied with who's making a little bit of a commission, I don't really care, because that person does not work for us. And my real concern is servicing the needs of the employees and the citizens of Plainfield, some of whom do not own homes, do not have bank accounts, do need legal service and support. And I think that we service them too. And as long as I am on the council and live in Plainfield, I am not going to make them invisible to fit our notion, whether it's middle class, working class, or whatever it is, of what people should be and how they should live. This is a reality, and I think, I hope that the administration will reconsider, because I think it would be rather commendable of them to treat them the same way they would if they were, quote, professional employees. Thank you.
Wow. I just saw someone here from Legal Shield. Could you come to the mic, please, Mr. Dunn?
Ms. Riley is on her way.
Okay.
But I can answer some questions in between time.
Do you guys have a list of the employees that have signed up? I don't know, is that personnel information, Corporation Counsel?
Yes, I think we'd be best served by not naming any names of employees who signed for the service this evening.
About how many people have signed up from the city of Plainfield?
Roughly about 90.
Okay, and the next question is, if they haven't paid into it up until this point, are they still receiving the services?
They are receiving the services despite the challenge of not being paid. But we are in a very dangerous situation where the services can be cut off just when they need it. And as of record, over 12 people have used the service thus far.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if the people are receiving the service, why are they receiving the service without paying for the service? For example, if I make $300 and that's in my check, why? What's preventing me from, when I cash my check, depending on however I cash it, from giving Legal Shield its share? What's the reason for it coming out as a payroll deduction rather than me forking over the money?
You gotta understand something.
It's the same thing.
Guys, order.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. We have people who do not have checking accounts. They do not have credit cards. They do not have debit cards. This is their only way of basically making a payment. So basically this allowed them to have the service and address issues that are of utmost importance in many ways. So to answer your question.
No, it doesn't quite. Again,
Okay.
if I'm bringing home $300 a week, what is stopping me from sending a check to Legal Shield? Legal Shield.
They don't have a checking account, ma'am. They don't have a checking account.
A money order. Legal Shield accepts legal tender.
No, listen, you're not getting this. You have people who are financially challenged. And not
And why are
only
they signing up for Legal Shield?
No, listen to me. You're not letting me finish, ma'am.
Rebecca, I'm sorry, Councilmember Williams, let him finish, please.
Okay.
You have individuals who are not only financially challenged, not having a checking account, not having a debit card, not having a credit card because of credit issues. I'm not going to go why. I'm not a social service person. But those realities do exist. This is something that is needed. This is something that they asked, that they have answered our request in reference to give them the information so that we can follow through. We did.
So then my other question, I guess, is for Corporation Counsel. In terms of our competitive bidding and contracts and other companies, has the administration looked into other companies that offer this particular product?
Thank you. Thank you.
The new administration has not looked at any companies to do this service.
I would suggest that if this were something to be considered, that the company, that it would behoove the administration to look for other companies, because if there's an opportunity, I still don't think it's something that should come out of a payroll deduction versus any other privately held company that offers, to pay bills. But I would suggest that at the very least, the responsible thing to do is to look into other companies and see what the competition is, and if the administration wanted to approach other companies to see whether those city employees could get the best bang for their buck, that would be a way to go before just going with the first company that has come along. Thank you.
I think that, again, we are doing this kind of elitist, looking down on folk who don't have what some of us have.
I
And
Excuse me, order.
I did not
Councilwoman, have the
interrupt
floor.
you. I did not interrupt you. And I just think that, and the fact that there is local persons involved is a good thing, whether they're getting a commission or whatever. If they're getting a commission, fine, because if there's a problem, we can go to them. They live next door, they live around the corner, they live down the street. I'd rather deal with them than folk who I never even heard of, who will do things to our people that we can't even hold anybody accountable. And so I think the concept of community, again, is a good thing, whether you're in business or whether you provide a service. And again, I think we have to be very careful in making sure we do not interpret everything according to our own personal experiences, but consider those who may be the least of these, who don't have all that we think we ought to have as a quote good citizen. And part of our responsibility is to support one another. And I believe that in this case, that I would like the administration to reconsider. And I think actually it would be a great thing if they did, because those people who other people feel are not as important will be able to say they really even consider us as important in the city. So I think we should reconsider and ask the city officials to look into this.
Okay, as I said,
One more.
one second. As I stated before, I'm gonna let you have your chance. I would like to do a resolution to the administration to reconsider bringing Legal Shield on. Now, Corporation Council, with that resolution, do we move it now, or what do we do? This is sticky.
Yes, absolutely.
Very
Normally we
sticky.
have a week to
We wanna
prepare a
do it right.
resolution. We have done resolutions in the past without actually having the written language, which has been provided later. If the council did want to adopt a resolution, we could do so, and then I would work with the clerk to provide the language after the meeting.
Okay, before we put the motion on the floor, I think Councilwoman.
Yeah, I would just want to say that as opposed to having any elitist kind of thoughts, my concern is for the very employees that maybe some people are trying to act like I don't care about, as well as for all the other residents of our city, which is why I said that if there may be other companies who also may have representatives who live in this city. So it's not about this one company, it's not excluding the community. There could be other sales representatives, so-called independent consultants or whatever they're called, independent associates, I think is the term, who work for a competitor of this company. So at the very least, we owe it to ourselves to see whether there are Plainfield residents, community people who work for those other companies who might also want to competitively bid for these services. I don't think that it's elitist to want to watch out for those residents who are, as has been called, the least of these.
Thank you so much.
I care as well.
Thank you. Corporation Council, where do we add this onto the agenda? Do we do it now?
We do it right now. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Would you like to read the title at least?
Yes.
A resolution asking the administration to reconsider the use of Legal Shield and review its use for city employees. Language to follow.
Okay, the motion's on the floor.
Can we make that direct? We're the governing body, right?
No, unfortunately, it's a day-to-day function, so the council can only recommend to the administration. Ultimately, this is purely
All right,
an
thank you.
administrative function.
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion. Can I have a roll call?
Before you go on, can we ask the administration to look for competitors as well? Can we add that to the resolution?
I would say.
To see if there are competitors?
I mean, there is already someone here. I mean, if there was competitors or if there was someone that wanted to do this type of business, they should have already approached our employees. I mean, it's,
Not
they're
necessarily.
already signed up.
No, I would say,
These people, these employees are valuable employees and they need services. For whatever reason, they've stated that there's several employees that are already using this service.
My concern is there could be competitors who would offer a better return
Do you know?
on the
Anyway, the
service.
motion is on the floor. Can I have a roll call, please?
Could I just make, before you, just one comment? And I don't want us to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm the director of an organization, it's a human service mental health agency, but it has to run as a business. And I think this whole discussion about like the least of us and some people don't care about the least of us, I think it's really unfair to say that. We, as council members, we have to make business decisions, and those business decisions are based on the interests of our constituents. So here we have this company that part of their business model, similar to Aflac, is they try to download some of their cost onto the companies that they work through, or including a company like the city of Plainfield. So, I mean, that's the way they operate, and we could either agree to that or not agree to that. I don't think anybody's stopping an employee from dealing directly with this company. But I do think that in the interests of our constituents, the people who pay taxes, that we have to be as efficient as possible. So we have to be careful about companies that come in and try to use our resources for their gain. Our interests are our constituents. Simply that, nothing more. So I just want to say, it's not a question of not caring about employees. It's a question about caring about our constituents, which is everybody that lives in the city, and trying to be as efficient as possible with the use of their tax dollars. That's why I'm not going to vote for this.
One quick question, again, is this gonna cost the city any money?
Just payroll
Is this
costs.
will cost the city any money?
No, if money was involved, there would be need for a contract, which would be before the council.
I
There's
think
no
that's
dollar
not,
cost.
there's no extra, there's extra labor involved. The services of our payroll, which we have to pay for, is the cost that I'm talking about.
I think our city administrator said that it would not take that much time to do this type of
It's a
deduction.
one-time thing that you put it, that's,
Okay,
I've certainly had the opportunity to cost evaluate. I don't imagine it's going to be an extreme
it's not
cost.
gonna be $100,000.
let's get some order here. We have a motion on the floor. The city administrator is speaking, and then we'll go call for the vote.
But the thing the administration will do, we'll look at that. I'll take a look at it, find out if it's going to cost us what. Find out how much time it's going to take. Find out even if the folks who are working for us are genuinely interested in being part of this program. But it's not a conversation I can have with you tonight because it's going to require some time and some research. So if you give us a resolution saying we'd like you to look at this and reconsider it, we'll look at it and do some due diligence.
Thank you. Call for the vote, please.
Council members Brown?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Taylor?
yes.
Storch?
No.
Williams?
No.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Council President Rivers?
Yes,
On the table, we propose a motion to the agenda.
thank you. Turn it over to,
Public comment.
oh, I'm sorry, we may exclude you guys. We now at this portion of public comments. Public comments are for resolutions and motions and ordinance on the books. Thank you.
Good evening, Alan Goldston. I know I have limited time, so I'll use every public comment opportunity tonight. I was going to hold off on the legal shield issue because I wanted to talk about item B and item P. Item B is required to hire a risk consultant because we're part of a joint insurance fund. This is an example of going where the money is, meaning the money that goes into campaign contributions. You have the ability to negotiate this fee. We pay top dollar, 6%. The last I looked several years ago, and I've already commented on that, I think our assessment was somewhere up around $800,000. So we're talking maybe about $50,000 roughly, maybe a little bit more these days. A few miles down the road, Westfield pays 2.5%. Ventnor, city, which I think is down near Atlanticton, pays 3%. So if you add up the difference, say it's $25,000. This happens year after year. So for a couple of $1,000s that gets thrown into varying people's campaigns, in their campaign contributions, we're charging taxpayers, $100,000, $125,000 additional because we're too lazy to take the effort to actually use our RFP process to get somebody or a firm that does this type of work at a reasonable price. And instead of falling to the lowest common denominator, of course, it goes to the upper portion, and we're always paying top dollar. Now, as far as P goes, this is a firm that we've done business with in the past, and that firm, they may do a great job, but I have to question the efforts that were taken to find a firm at a reasonable price. Because if you look at your own material, it says that, I think it was December 2nd, maybe it was December 3rd, I think it was the 2nd, they put out an RFP. It says it was advertised in the Courier. And the date when they opened this thing is like 3-4 days later. It was that very Friday. And of course, you only got one proposal, which just happened to be the company that you've been doing work with. So I don't think that this is indicative of any effort to help the taxpayers, save a little bit of money. And if I have a little bit more time here, and I'll continue this later, this business of Legal Shield. I don't know how corrupt you can be, because the real issue here has nothing to do whatsoever with the service that's being provided, because more than likely there's plenty of providers out there. This has to do with the ability of a single individual or a family that comes here time and time again to peddle whatever scheme that they happen to have at that time for their money. And if I may just have another moment, just a minute.
Wait, 1 second. Is there a motion on the floor to give him some more time?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Now, if you look at the Plainfield Chamber of Commerce website, which I think is a toy here, you'll notice, and I know there was a big to-do made about these ID cards over at Angels in Action, and the improper usage or endorsement of the city. You look at the Plainfield Chamber of Commerce homepage there, and you'll see a big block here for the Boss Incubator. Then you see the city's logo with a link to that, and right below that you see Legal Shield. And then in the lower left-hand corner is a bigger thing that says Legal Shield. So this is what you're voting for. You're not voting to protect employees, because as fast as you were able to get a representative of Legal Shield in front of you, the employees that need this service could walk a $20 bill over to 320 Park Avenue. And what's going to happen is that whatever you do on this, the next meeting, there'll be some other deal. Be some real estate deal like behind Cooper's. It'll be, some scam job training contract. It'll be the alternative press. It'll be UEZ money that's flowing in to pay for a desk that's never used or hardly ever used. And certainly, even if it's used once in a while, it's hardly worth the cost to put it in there. And this comes up time and time again. And it comes from the same sources. And you go out of your way to help them out. You are violating, I think, your own ethics as public officials by going through these contortions, and this is the second time I've seen it on Legal Shield, because you let that woman come up here at the other meeting, you go out of your way to get somebody in here tonight, and it just goes on and on and on. And anyway, I think I made my point, and I hope you consider that, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council President, just for item B, we did put that particular contract out for RFQ. We got 2 responses. They were both at 6%. Item B is comment. And for item P, we also sent it out. We sent it out for RFQ. We got one response, and they do happen to be the company that we've used before. But we've advertised those items, and everybody has an opportunity to respond to them when we put them up for advertising.
Thank you. We still have privilege of the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Jeffrey Gunn, 537 Belvedere Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey. I want to talk about the legal shield situation. First of all, it's a service that's needed. I'm not going to go into great detail. Ms. Riley will go into greater detail. The situation is basically we are trying to serve the community with a service that's needed. I'm not even going to defend my family name in reference to someone who basically wants to disrespect my family name. We serve this community in a very broad way. I ask people who would like to criticize, what are they doing? Key thing is basically in regard to legal shield, it's a service that many people have a need for. Just like the Workforce Investment Board, just like the One Stop, just like the Chamber, just like the CID, just like Reentry Task Force. By the way, these are all the various organizations that I donate my time to. And I challenge individuals to come to these meetings and find out how much a thing like Legal Shield is needed. With the Reentry Task Force, you'll see it's needed far and wide. Not only with individuals, but with their families. If you go to the Workforce Investment Board meetings, you'll find out how much this type of service is needed. If you were to go, if you know where it's at. Also, by the way, the One Stop, where basically these services are needed. And various social services, from child care, to divorce, to unemployment, to bankruptcy. Just a sample. As far as the businesses have access and a need for Legal Shield because it gives affordable access to legal advice that many businesses cannot afford. As far as competition, there is none. By the way, I want to say to you also that basically in regard to the CID, Special Improvement Districts, which I was also a member of, and served this community in broad and wide, district itself, there are many legal issues that they can talk about, that they can access in reference to businesses. I want to say to you, let's not talk about individuals, because I think things are getting political. And also, I sense a political bullying. And basically, I think it's about staying focused with the issue, what's best for the people. Keep the names out of it. Keep the families out of it. Let's keep it comfortable. And let's deal with the community. We got a lot of much bigger things to do. And we're wasting a lot of time right here and now on stuff that should not be bought. Council's time is too valuable to spend on payroll deductions. That's micromanaging. There's much bigger issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Howard Youth 53 Cushion Road. I agree there are bigger issues and we may be wasting time on Legal Shield itself. However, there is a principle, there's a fiduciary principle which I'm disturbed about, which the council is ignoring, and that is what the responsibility is to the city. There are several things that I want to know. Does the council members know exactly what Legal Shield does? Do they know what the cost per year is? And do they really know whether there is any other services which could provide the same thing? If you approve this, are you not authorizing or authorizing a commercial enterprise by the city? Are you not opening the Pandora's box so that any commercial enterprise that wants to have a payroll deduction cannot apply for it? And I don't believe once you set the precedent, you can refuse them to do so. I think also to say that it costs the city nothing is false. There is time involved. I don't know how you're going to really determine the exact time or cost of that time. But but they're at the time of making the deductions, contributing to the payment, and this would have to go through everybody on the payroll in the city. I think you are not doing the public a justice by accepting it and being cheerful about who or why you're providing the services for. I think you should not approve of this. I was not going to speak about it. I don't care who is authorizing it, but I think you mind if the veterinarian comes and asks you to deduct for veterinary insurance. Are you going to do that? Same principle.
Corporation Counsel, if another organization comes to the council to have payroll deduction, or assume the administration, the council, we don't have to give them that service. Is that correct?
No, and just reiterate, tonight is merely a recommendation to the administration. Anything any payroll deduction would have to be vetted by the administration, and then ultimately the decision we made whether or not it would be something that the administration thought would be in the best interests of city employees. But for tonight's purposes, it's purely a recommendation.
But we keep hearing that if we do this recommendation, another entity could come and we would have to do that. That's why I'm trying to get this clear.
You can make as many recommendations as you want as a governing body, but ultimately it's up to the administration to decide whether or not to implement those recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I do have some handouts for the council members.
Have your name, please.
My name is Gillette Riley. I do apologize. I'm a little challenged here vertically. Give me a second. Gillette Riley with Legal Shield, an executive director of payroll deduction and employee benefits. And if possible, I do have a few things to hand out to the council to follow me along with, so that you can probably for once and for all, we can see what Legal Shield is. Because that question has never been pondered before. And I do want to, while we're waiting for that to happen, I want to thank those who have come before, who've had an opportunity to express their voice as well. And to the kind gentleman that referred to me as a woman, I do appreciate that. I could have been called a lot less. But, and have been in some arenas. But I do appreciate the compliment. Nonetheless, as employee benefits specialist with Legal Shield, I feel like the first thing that we need to address and the first thing that needs to be resolved is that Legal Shield is an employee benefit. And I think that that's the thing that's being lost. We're looking at this as some random hodgepodge kind of thing that we can offer, like travel services, or I heard some other things that could be offered that are really not of the magnitude and the legitimacy that Legal Shield, a 41-year-old company that's been in the New York Stock Exchange, that's governed by the Commissioner of Insurance, by the state of New Jersey. We have to carry insurance licenses to offer this because it is considered an employee benefit. And I think that's the thing that's being lost. We're looking at this as though it's some direct selling, direct marketing type thing. While there may be a prong, and there may be some individuals that like to offer it to individuals, that's not my plot. And that's not what I'm here for. And I'm only here at the request of the people. I apologize that I have to keep coming before you and wasting your time for something such trivialities. Because this should have been something that long ago we probably could have resolved at the point when it was offered and implemented by the prior administration. I didn't do that. I didn't come into the city and just start offering Legal Shield. It was rendered as an employee benefit that was governed by the former mayor, and I have documentation to show that. And why council, not council, but the corporate council and everyone else is acting obtuse and as though there's never been any dialogue that's taken place. I have chains of emails that have taken place. And all of these things are inclusive in this packet here that I've left to you. Now, the first thing is the need for Legal Shield. And I put some things in here. I'm not going to go through it verbatim because I know my time is of the essence and I know that it's limited. But the first thing I put there for you is Legal Shield as an employee benefit. Peace of mind to your employees. We've been doing this for 40 some odd years and we are the front runners in it. There are other companies that may offer legal service, but they're not doing what we're doing and the way we're doing it. We're tried and true and have been helping over 4 million families, 4 million individuals over the past 40 some odd years throughout North America. That's United States and Canada. Our members are covered throughout the state. Wow, my time is up already? Oh my goodness.
So 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Motion to give her an extension.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I
Any
promise,
opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I promise I'll be brief. How many more minutes do I have?
Opposed.
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay, I'll get this done very quickly. With respect to, and I'll just draw your attention to it if you don't mind, there's articles in here about legal benefits on the rise in the state of New Jersey as well as throughout the country because there's a need. The need has already been established that there are individuals that cannot afford access to the legal service. I went to law school, Rutgers Law School, downtown Florida. Didn't get a chance to finish because I have a son with special needs that I leave, in fact, every time I come here before you council, you esteemed council members every night, every time that we're here. But the point is that I use this service so much just for him alone. Other individuals have children with special needs. They have special needs of their own. They have bankruptcies. They have foreclosures. Who's left a foreclosure notice on their dining room table tonight to come here, to hear about a service that could help? And I'm perplexed as to why we're continuing to circumvent a service that's helpful. We spend more time and more money on direct deposit and more money on garnishments and wage deductions that come out. The payroll department is using their time for that as well. I have a letter in here, an email from one of my payroll persons of a dealership of 500 employees that I govern, that I oversee, who says it takes him 20 minutes out of his payroll time to do the legal shield deduction. Now, when you weigh that 20 minutes against the 1 out of 3 individuals that are out of work 13 times a year because of a legal issue, and that's established by the Russell Report, and you'll see the paperwork and documented to show you that as well. That was just recently done in 2010. When you weigh that against the potential lawsuits that could come against this city, if we take this away as a payroll deduction and then offer it to these individuals as has been suggested as a direct bill, well, once it's a direct bill, then they can then sue the city. But as a payroll deduction, they can't. So I venture to say, what about those individuals who have been victims of identity theft, Target, Michaels, Neiman Marcus, who thought they had a service covering them since September, and now they're told there wasn't? So these are the costs that we need to look at versus the 20 minutes out of a payroll period that it takes to facilitate a payroll deduction. Is Legal Shield a scam? Well, you tell the New York Stock Exchange that we are. You tell the Commissioner of Insurance that we are. You tell the Direct Selling Agency Association that we are. Because I'm sure these individuals don't know. These well-established governing bodies do not know that Legal Shield is a scam for 41 years. Am I pitching? I heard that once before. Well, I would venture to say that everyone that is still before this council has pitched something passionate about themselves or about this city or about the members of this city that they were passionate about. And I saw the passion. I saw hands flailing and arms moving and spit coming out. So people are passionate about what they're offering. Why is it wrong to be passionate about a service that can help? When I went to law school, I said I wanted to help the underdog, the average person that could not get access to the legal system. Why are we not giving them this access when it's so affordable and it's not costing us anything to do it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. I think it might be from, what's her last name?
Joletta?
Mr. Mayor.
I usually like to talk.
Excuse
Joletta?
me, I have a question for you. I'm looking at this memo from the packet that says that the city, this is from last year, this is from the previous administration, that the city has agreed to allow Legal Shield to provide information about their services and to solicit membership from employees. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a question for you, but it's either for you or for the city
I would
administrator.
rather give it to the city administrator because
So, but the question is important for both parties. Is this done on employee time or on the city's time?
Well,
Because I mean, it does take time. From experience running a business, it takes time. Certainly with the company that I'm dealing with, which is Aflac, it takes time, a lot of time, for the employees to meet with the representatives and whether they're terminating or joining. And if it's on city time, that means that we're paying that cost and citizens are getting less service. So how is that going to work? Yeah, please.
okay. Just like Aflac, which is also a voluntary benefit, and I work with several Aflac agents when I do this as an employee benefit, we work in enrollment periods. The first rollout was done during a meeting, a staff meeting, I believe, that the mayor, Mayor Robinson Briggs had with all of the staff, so that I don't believe was employee time. It was a time during a meeting when they were already, an employee celebration day is when it was. That was when the bulk of the memberships were ascertained. Over time, it had been during lunch hours. In fact, we'd even taken in lunch sometimes because it was done in the employee's individual time. So far, if I'm not mistaken, there hasn't been any employee time that has been utilized to take up the.
So I think that's just an important consideration in figuring out the cost. If it's on employee time, that's a different story, for sure.
Okay, any more privilege of the floor?
Sandy Gershman, 957 Madison Avenue. I'm not going to talk about anything we talked about before.
All right.
But under communications to the mayor, the second item says it's seating Alex Tolliver for the unexpired 5-year term ending February 2nd, 2014. That term is already expired.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, Madam President, that's actually correct. The resolution is correct in saying 2017 when it expires. It expires in 2017.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hey, my name is Asmar Best. I live in Watchung, 1216 Crystal Ridge Drive. I had a situation. I used to work for the PMUA of Plainfield. And I had a situation where I got threatened on the job. And I went through all the chains of commands, and there was nothing said or done about the whole situation. And now I'm standing up here, I'm fired from the place. Like, I'm real distraught. Right now I'm struggling, and I just don't know what to do, so I said let me come up here tonight and let y'all know my issue of what happened over there.
Council President, this portion of public comment is only for items on the agenda.
Well, there's a PMUA appointment on the agenda. Thank you. Proceed.
Well, I went to Mr. Dan. Mr. Dan didn't.
Mr. Dan, who's?
That's the director.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't do anything about the situation. Now I come to you tonight to see, can I get this situation resolved and see what happened. Like, I've been with the PMUA for 8 years. Now I'm fired, like, just for no reason at all. And that's crazy. Like, we haven't had raises in 8 years. I was told, like, if you didn't have a high school degree or a diploma or anything, like, you shouldn't get a raise.
Who said that? Excuse me, never mind. Wow.
Like, the PMUA is going down, to me it's going downhill from where I stand. And like, I'm just trying to get some people to help me out. So that's all I'm doing.
Thank you so much for coming. Is there something you can take further?
Good evening, Council. My name is Mustafa Muhammad. I live at 919 East Front Street, Plainfield, New Jersey. There's a few things I'd like to address just briefly, and that is, for one, the last note is the PMUA. The PMUA, along with the other thing is police director's position for the police in the city of Plainfield, and legal shield. All of these things, I think, and I just very humbly and respectfully say this to the council. I think you have the hardest of the jobs that lie ahead of us as the governing body in the city of Plainfield, and these most trying times and all these dilemmas that we are faced with. Nevertheless, they're not impossible. But we must remember, 50 years ago, Dr. King spoke about the war on poverty, employment equality. And these things are very, very important when it comes to where the rubber meets the road, and that's in our community. But what we face with this political discourse that's ongoing, with so many different topics that our city is faced with, and people that just look to control the narrative without all the facts. It kind of reminds me of when Mike Wallace wanted to judge Nigeria as being the most criminal nation, most delinquent nation in the world, where they had no moral authority to pass no judgment, none whatsoever. What I'm saying to you is these things need to be considered very much with these topics that we're talking about. PMUA, the police department, and Legal Shield. Perspective is very important. Perspective, context, interpretation, and definition. Very, very important. We have many, many differences. But in our differences, we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice that's best fitting to the majority of the people in the city of Plainfield. That's best fitting to those who are not getting equality, who needs protection, who needs your full representation. So I appeal to the council. For an example, with what just happened to this young brother that just came to the mic before me, if I may mention, his job being lost. As a result of what we've been mentioning for the last year or two, administrations that just need to be checked. They need to be checked, but nevertheless, we do not need to give away the store. Though they need to be checked, we do not need to give away the store. So we need to exercise some power with those who have the authority to do what they're not doing. They have the authority to do certain things that they're not doing because they're not practicing equality. Barack Obama is on the same bully pulpit that Dr. King was on 50 years ago. And we're having a hard time getting that right here in the city of Plainfield. We need to look out for the little man, the one in the trenches. People that are struggling.
1 second. I need a motion, guys, to give them a couple more minutes.
I make a motion.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you so much. We need to look out for the little man, the one that's not being represented. Taxation without representation is tyranny. I heard that somewhere, right? We did hear that somewhere, right? That's in the Constitution. The Constitution applies in the city of Plainfield as well. And this is where it's most important now. Not only that, we need protection, but we need protection that has our best interests at heart. That's where the police department comes to mind. We do need to make some decision, I believe, on that deputy's position of an individual whose name has came before you again and again, who has a vested interest in this community. And Legal Shield is there to protect our workers. The ones that we do have. If we don't protect them, we won't have what we do have. There are those who wish to take complete control of this political discourse, control the narrative, and dictate to us what needs to happen. They can have their opinion, they can have their outlook, they can have their way, but it's high time that we exercise our power that we have. Don't be afraid to use your power. You need to use your power. It's nothing personal, and we can have differences and we can disagree. It's all right, that's fine. But you need to exercise your power. Please do not be afraid to exercise your power and force administrators to do what they need to do. And if they don't, then use your voice because you're leaders in this community to call on the community to come help you to remove them. And we will. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Any more comments? Seeing none? Oh. On resolutions.
On resolution?
Yes. Motions.
I'm Mr. Dan. I live at 901 Grant Avenue in Plainfield. I'm also the executive director of the PMUA. I didn't come here to speak at all. I really just came to observe. And there's an item on your agenda that I had some interest in, obviously. But I could not sit there and not say a word when a gentleman who formerly worked at the PMUA made some rather startling and reckless comments and are absolutely untrue. Mr. Best was an employee of PMUA, that is absolutely correct. And I suspect that because it's a personnel matter, that probably is not something that should be discussed in public. But I would suggest to you that probably he waived that right to have his personnel jacket, if you will, discussed publicly.
He didn't waive his rights.
Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say to you that I will not take the liberties that he took. I think I have a right to, but I won't. I will tell you that what he said about the reason he was terminated is absolutely untrue. I will tell you that when he made an allegation that he was threatened, that there was a hearing at the personnel office at 215 West Front Street in the presence of not only Mr. Best, but the person who he accused, the people who he claimed were witnesses to the confrontation, to the allegations, as well as the human resources personnel, myself, and some others. It was determined after having that discussion that the people that he brought there to justify and suggest there was some truthfulness to what he said could not and did not say that what he claimed took place, in fact, took place. In fact, the gentleman he accused denied the allegation, so what we were left with was his word against the other person's word. There was not enough information there to validate anything that he said. Anything that he said. Anything that he said. He, Mr. Best, was terminated not having anything to do with that, but rather coming to work on time or coming to work at all or leaving his job during the course of the day. Those are the issues that were dealt with and dealt with Mr. Best as it relates to his employment and now lack of employment at the PMUA. I don't know of anybody who has said anything to anybody at that place where I work, where I'm the director, that no one without a college degree or a high school degree should in fact work at the PMUA. That's absolutely absurd, absolutely ridiculous as a matter of fact, because I'm certain, without having the records here with me, that there are quite a few folks who are in that category. I will also tell you that this notion about I haven't gotten a raise in 8 years, I haven't been there 8 years. I've been there approximately 18 months. And in the 18 months that I've been there, the only reason that Mr. Best and people of his ilk have not received raises is because they are part of a union. And that union is presently in negotiations, and we will not make any offers to them at all because of the contract negotiations. We do not want to be accused of unfair labor practices. Period. They have effectively been at a wage freeze, not because of anything that I've done or the previous administration has done. If they've been in that condition because they are in a union that presently exists and is presently under negotiation with the PMUA. We have scheduled meeting after meeting. We are now discussing the non-economic issues. Fortunately, hopefully we'll get into economic issues shortly. And when that contract has been negotiated and approved, that's when we'll be able to address those individuals. There are approximately 45 individuals who are part of that union. Mr. Best was one of them. I just can't, and it kind of boggles my mind when I sit here and listen to some absurdities being presented to this council and without anybody asking a question. All I hear was, oh my God, oh no, is that true? That boggled my mind. I had to come here and say something because it sounded as though there were people who sit here on the council who accepted what was said without getting, as Mr. Muhammad, is it? What Mr. Muhammad said, there's a time for all of us to take a look at all the facts and get everything on both sides.
1 second, Mr. Williamson. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Not unlike any other situation, if you're going to take a position on anything or anybody, you have to have all the information, all the facts, all of it. And your due diligence has to be that you take the time to listen to what people say, evaluate what people say, and then determine what the true facts are. But under no circumstance should it be suggested that because you hear an allegation from one person that you automatically assume that it's all true. And you don't have to assume that what I've said is absolutely true. Check it out though. I'll challenge anybody here to come to the PMUA, get the information, and I guarantee you'll find that what you heard here tonight from Mr. Best is not true. And by the way, the proper place for Mr. Best to have come to make his allegations in an argument was to the Board of Commissioners that sit once a month, actually twice. We have a committee meeting and we have a regular meeting, just not unlike the council, and make his allegations to those commissioners.
Unless somewhere in the future someone else changes their mind. Am an employee of the PMUA. let me say this. For anyone who suffers through episodes at their employment, usually whatever the circumstances are, they eat it, they go home, they move on. But this young man came here because of concerns he had. He brought it in front of a forum that he would hope would maybe help him through the process, since he felt as though he felt he had none, starting from the bottom up. That needs to be given some thought. He took a lot of courage to come here in front of this mic. But when you do an investigation, you're supposed to secure all your options. And if you have anyone that's being accused of being unfair, threatening, and you have a witness, you do not let that witness travel with that individual alone. I have nothing else to say.
Thank you.
Madam President, seeing no other person come before the mic, may I make a resolution?
A motion.
Motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I took, taking everything on my copy. I just want to say, Mr. Williamson did say that you should go to the PMUA meeting, but that took a lot of guts. I don't know the story for you to come. It didn't fall on deaf ears. And for you also, Ms. Mumford, that took a lot of guts for you to come up here, still being an employee of the PMUA. And I just wanted to let you know the allegations are not falling on deaf ears. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see such a wide audience. And item 7 on the agenda is consideration of public hearing and second reading and final passage on the ordinances that we have before us. First one is MC 2014-01, which is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 1, Article 1, General Provisions, Section 1:1 through 15, which authorizing charges for copies of public records and fees and for other services of the municipal code of the City of Plainfield, New Jersey. The code is dated 1971. May I have a second?
Second.
It's not, the second one be required, it's consensus.
Do we have consensus to move this to the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking I was looking at voting. I'm
Do we have
ahead of
consensus to move
myself.
this to the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, next.
Consensus to move to the, thank you, sir. Okay, item MC 2014-02 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Department of Public Affairs and Safety, Section 13C, Establishment of the Office of the Police Director, and the creation of Section 13F, a Deputy Police Director. Any comments? Do I have a promotion to?
Consensus to move it to the agenda?
Consensus to move it to the agenda?
Yes. Roll call?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
No.
Chairman Reed,
No.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. There's
Okay,
consensus.
so on the agenda, right? Okay. MC 2014-03, an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield. And that's for the Deputy Police Director, new salary range for the budget.
We have consensus to move that to the agenda?
I said no.
Yes.
No.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
Chairman Reed,
No.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. There's consensus.
Okay, MC 2014-04, an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield. And this is for part-time temporary municipal court judge. Do I have consensus to move it to the agenda for voting tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Next item, MC 2014-05, an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield. And this is for the municipal court judge. Do you have consensus to move that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 8 on the agenda, resolution and new business and the legislative body. Item A is a councilmatic resolution recognizing the month of February as Black History Month.
Yes.
Do I have consensus to move that?
Yes.
Okay.
Chairman Reed, when going through these items, we could also ascertain if there's consensus for the consent agenda as we add these to the regular meeting agenda.
Say that again, sir.
So when we go through all these items, we can also ask if there's consensus for this to be on the consent agenda as well.
Okay. I'll do that. Let's see, the next item is administration and executive branch. I see none there.
Under administration and executive branch, there were the communications that were read into the record, communications from the mayor.
Okay. Okay, under communication from the mayor, Mr. Mapp, who is with us. How you do, sir?
Wonderful.
He said correspondence recommending that John Fazaro is a Class A. He lives at 1169 Lorraine Avenue, and he wanted him to serve as a member of the Plainfield Historic Preservation Commission. He succeeds himself for an unexpired 4-year term which ends on January 31st, 2017. Do I have consensus to place it on the agenda for voting?
Yes.
Yes.
And what was the next item?
What will be on the consent agenda or the non-consent?
Okay, well, it's on the non-consent or consent agenda.
Consent.
Do we vote on it or not?
Consent.
Okay. Next one is from His Honor the Mayor, Adrian O'Mapp. And he would like Charles Tyndale of 56 Academy Avenue to serve as a member of the Plainfield Municipal Utility Authority, succeeding Alice Tolliver for an unexpired 5-year term which has ended February 2nd, 2014.
That should read 2017.
2017, correction, ending 2017. Do I have permission to place it on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
I say no.
No.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Council members Brown?
Yes.
Greaves?
No.
Storch?
Yes.
Taylor?
No.
Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
No.
Council President Burris?
Yes.
4 in favor, 3 opposed. There's consensus to add it to the agenda. I'm assuming
Okay,
that's
and it will be on the voting.
Yes. Non-consent.
Non-consent. And this is correspondence dated January 30, 2014. Would like to appoint Ronald E. West, Lamar Davis Maxon, Joseph Darrell, Timothy Thomas, Tyrone Dow, Jan Massey, John pronounce that, Jefferson.
Jefferson.
What?
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Sorry.
And a Comacita Pile, Richard Gere, to serve as members of the Plainfield Cable Television Advisory Board effective immediately and upon confirmation of the oath of office. Do I have permission to put that on?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it a voting or consent?
Consent.
Consent.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. I think that takes care of everything that the mayor asked us to do.
Yes, if we could go back to legislative items, there was an item that was added to the agenda that we could indicate as, we can identify as B. It was the recommendation to the administration for legal shield.
Oh, yes. May I have permission to put that resolution which we discussed? And is it a consent agenda or voting?
The resolution for legal shield, we're gonna add that to the agenda. Do you guys want it as a consent or voting?
Voting.
Voting.
Okay.
I don't want it on there at all.
Okay, I ask the Cooperation Council to give his,
Yes, Council President, if I may, though, with regard to the Cable Television Advisory Board, the governing body has 3 appointees to the Cable Television Advisory Board. Would the council like to take that up this evening, or would they like to wait?
Well, I believe that Councilmember Williams was one of them that was on there. And myself.
One of the 9.
Myself. And Councilwoman Brown. I don't think I was on there. No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
You got a line of fire.
Okay.
Perhaps we get a resolution added tonight as well to address that. Council President, if there's consensus.
Is there consensus to add this to the agenda?
Yes.
yes, for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Cooperation Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 items to add to the agenda this evening. These were discussed in executive session. First is a resolution authorizing the approval of the qualified service providers in accordance with Municipal Code Section 21018. Is there consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and that would be a voting item.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second is a resolution authorizing an initial appropriation for Antonelli Mincello in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
Consensus?
Yes.
Okay, a voting item.
Mr. Chairman.
We voted on? Yes.
Consent. No, go ahead. You said voting.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I also have one item that came out of executive session for Public Works and Urban Development. I just asked that I add it at that time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on. Department of Administration and Finance, the money guys. Item B, resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Plainfield and the Reliance Insurance Group for insurance broker risk management consulting services pursuant to the state law of 40A:11 through 5 in parentheses 1 in parentheses M, as presented by the Personnel Department. Do I have consensus to add it to the agenda for voting?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would be a voting as opposed to a consensus? Okay, it's a voting, sir. Item C, resolution authorizing the execution of a professional service agreement between the City of Plainfield and In-Service Co. Insurance Services, Inc. to represent the City of Plainfield as claim service administrator in an amount not to exceed $62,000.
Yes.
Any objection to adding it?
No.
And it will be a voting. Item D, resolution authorizing a refund of overdue taxes totaling $1,184.90 on one property as per the Schedule A attached. Do I have permission to place that on the agenda?
Yes.
And it would be a voting or consent?
Consent.
Item E, resolution authorizing adjustments to one tax account due to the state tax appeal totaling $24.23.90 in a tax reduction as listed on the tax schedule B. Permission to place it on?
Yes.
Consent?
Consent.
Item F, resolution adopting a cash management plan for the deposits and investment of public funds for the city of Plainfield.
Yes.
Any objection?
None?
Okay, consent
Yes.
or not?
Consent.
Okay. Item G, resolution authorizing the cancellation of services with Bank of America for administration of electronic payments for the municipal court and bail payments. Consensus to place it on the agenda for voting?
Yes.
Okay. Item H, resolution.
Consent.
Consent.
Consent. Okay. Resolution authorizing a contract with Investor Savings Bank for the administration of electronic payments for municipal court and bail payments effective March 1, 2014.
Yes. Yes. Consent.
Consent.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution authorizing acceptance of a fiscal grant extension from January 1, 2013 to June 30, 2014 in the amount of $51,187.50 from the Union County Department of Human Services Division of Planning for the implementation of the Plainfield Municipal Alliance Program.
Consent. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Permission, no objections, and this is consent.
Yes.
J, resolution approving authorization to apply for a grant in the amount of $34,125 from the Union County Department of Human Service for the implementation of the Plainfield Municipal Alliance Programs.
Yes.
A consent or not?
Consent.
Okay. Resolution authorizing the execution of a Meals on Wheels donor agreement for the Senior Citizen Services Program for a period commencing January 1, 2014 through December 31, 2014. Permission to put it on?
Yes.
Yes.
And consent or not?
Yes. Consent.
Okay. Moving right along. Department of Public Affairs and Safety do not have any resolutions that I know of. Any to be added?
No.
None? Okay. Department of Public Works and Urban Development. L, resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 new 2014 International Model 7400 dump trucks on a state contract number 79123. Just to see how much it costs. How much are these going to cost?
It's in the resolution.
It's in the resolution. Okay, permission to put it on?
Yes.
Okay,
Consent.
voting?
Consent.
I don't think it's a consent. Okay, consent. Got that. Resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application, accept the grant, and execute a grant agreement with the 2014 USA Swimming Foundation in the amount of $10,000. You put it on?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a consent or
Yes.
none?
Consent.
Okay. Item N, resolution authorizing approval for a street opening permit for AT&T in accordance with section 13:4-2 of the Plainfield Code. Do I have permission to place that on?
Yes.
Any questions? Consent. Item O, Resolution authorizing approval for a street opening permit for Cross Fiber Cooperation in accordance with the section 13:4-2 of our code. Permission to put it on?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, consent.
Consent.
Okay. Resolution awarding a contract in the amount of $49,500 to Community Consultants LLC for the provision of housing rehabilitation service for the community block grant year 39, which is fiscal year 2013/2014, comprehensive housing assistance program, which is called CHAPS. Permission to put that on?
Yes. Consent.
It's going to be in the consent.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution Q.
Council President,
Yes,
the administration would like to pull a couple of the items that you placed on the consent agenda. Item R06714, resolution to submit a grant application.
which number is that, sir?
Sorry, I gave it the wrong number. It's the street opening permits. I just wanted to do it. Item M, resolution authorizing approval to submit grant application for the execution of the grant agreement with the 2014 U.S. Swim Foundation.
So you pulling it?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd also like to pull item N, resolution authorizing approval for the street opening permit for AT&T.
Okay.
And item O.
Which ones?
Okay, so we will not consider that tonight, you're saying?
I'm sorry. We just would like to pull N and O.
Okay. N and O. So M stays on, just pulling N and O.
Council President, it's the items dealing with the installation of fiber optics in the city. I first need to have a conversation with those two particular utility providers to find out if there are any economic benefits to the city of Plainfield before we grant the consent.
So you're pulling N and O.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You have that, Mr. Clerk?
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Q. Resolution authorizing submission of a community development block grant program for year 40, which is 2014-2015 funding priority. Permission to put it on.
Yes.
And this is
Consent.
consent.
Mr. Chairman, I have one additional item. if I may.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. This is an item that was discussed in executive session. That would be the resolution authorizing the approval of qualified services providers in accordance with Plainfield Municipal Code Section 21018. These are professional services.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
Permission to put it on?
Yes.
Okay, consent.
Yes.
Thank you. And I guess I go to item 9, introduction of ordinances on first reading. Is that correct, sir? Correct. Okay. Ordinance, introduction on first reading, MC 2014-06. An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation and to establish a cap bank.
Yes.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. And turn it over to the council president, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Now we have citizens' participation. Citizens are welcome to address the council on any governmental item of concern to them, whether it is on the agenda or not. During this portion of the agenda, a total of 60 minutes have been allocated for all public comments to be presented. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name and address to the clerk for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time on any single speaker is allowed, will be limited to 5 minutes. Large groups are urged to select someone to represent them. Privilege of the floor.
Thank you, Councilman. Harold, 53 Clinton Road. If I understand further, I am too on this agenda with approved of, as that should be, and put on the consent agenda. I'm just wondering how many of you have read that item and what's involved, and why an item which amounts to requesting $2,600,000 is treated as a consent item. I think that's ridiculous. It's improper.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be on the voting. Doctor, would you repeat that, please?
Item Q, which is authorizing submission of a grant application. But the grant application is for $2,625,000, and I don't think that really belongs in the consent item.
Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
Congratulations, Mayor Webb.
Thank you.
My name is James Branch. My previous address in Plainfield was 318 Berkeley Street, and my business address is 206 Washington Avenue. My current mailing address is 40 Ann Street, New York. Tonight I address you in hope of resolving a legal hold placed in my life through the non-cooperation action of your corporation counsel, Dan Williams. It is hoped that the legal nightmare will come to an end with payment from you regarding the properly presented bill for the report Vision/Solutions during the period of my firm services regarding the record-keeping computer emergency. From the beginning of my firm service to the city of Plainfield was a legal breach because of the state of New Jersey wanting to take your city operations over. However, after reaching an agreement with the state of New Jersey, giving a PECA in conjunction with the Division of Community Affairs to rebuild your data processing operations was a major stopgate from them taking your operations over. My proof of success is the simple fact that you are actually still sitting in your chair and basically still running the city. But at whose expense? It was at a PECA's expense, my expense, and the great harm done to the means of the balance of the system at large. Other related work had to be completed. The bill submitted to the city of Plainfield for $18,000, $2.50, and your lack of respect to make payment created a financial rate of a PECA by the Department of Administration and Finance, and the issue of finding a lawyer to take you to court has turned into a sick legal joke regarding the matter. I state my claim that lawyers have been sought, even though PECA has retained the services of lawyers who later became aligned with the city's business, which added to the sadness of the situation. It is clear that the legal ethics of the situation was due to the simple fact that PECA was technically superior and others' means was used to create unnecessary problems for you. And where the United States are now still arguing over legal issues regarding the internet, and the sad situation that is after I got you out of the major of your bookkeeping and computer problems, you wanted to punish me. As founder, president, and CEO of a PECA Company, Inc., I will restate my position regarding the Corporation Counsel failure to act in good faith and discuss proceedings with the New Jersey Ethics Commission if you still refuse to make payments for said services. Actually, your body does have the ability to resolve the matter. The other major issue is in relation to my work and stay in New York during the period from 2007 to a week ago. As receiving notice from the United Nations ID legal year dated 2007, where I was requested to assist the complex issues related to New York budgets and Wall Street. The situation was gross and very disgusting. The main issues related to New York's police corruption and brutality practices, housing and welfare fraud required much more work. Although we kept Wall Street from completely collapsing and where the basic issues of the state management practices need more in-depth review from the federal level. The issue of police corruption and abuse is greatly costing the nation. Mr. Mayor, the United States needs a realistic solution regarding the problems, and where I have been quietly requested to assist with some delicate matters, it is only that. Again, your corporation counsel, who has created this sad legal argument, I'm not an alcoholic, and I'm not nor drunk. Okay? It matters that the documents are presented to the city council, and God, we trust, and also God issue a mandate regarding the problems of the New York Police Department. A request is being made to allow Brother Shep, who operates various activities in the Harlem area, to be safely relocated to reduce the friction between him and the NYPD, as well as other law officers across the nation. I request that meeting with the Director of Public Safety and Affairs to continue with the discussion on the matter in the interfaith dialogue efforts for bettering our relations.
Thank you.
Respectfully presented, James R. Grant. With this, there's the emails from the various law firms and the news articles as far as the multi-dollar welfare scam and the problems with the 4 million billing pit scams in the New York area. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Alex Tolliver. I live at 123 Sumner Avenue. You know, it's a shame that most of you people that are sitting behind me here are relating on blogs. I don't like to listen to blogs because they're, let's face it, most of my lives. I know we have a new mayor, and I don't understand. Sometimes I understand, but for temporarily, he is the mayor. I think it may be temporarily. There's a lot of innuendos, but it may be temporarily. So don't count me out. I don't mind not being on Plainfield, my municipal authority. I talked to my wife some time ago about it. So there's nothing you can do or say or bother me. $4,500 a year do not pay my gas bill. I want everybody to know what we make to take the abuse. $4,500 per year. That's what we take. I want you also to know, which I don't know, you've never come to the city meetings, that we have reduced the rates to the taxpayer, and we're ready to reduce the rate again by 6%, another 6%, to the taxpayer. You do not even know what's going on in the city itself that's about ready to collapse. That we are saving it. You will have another tsunami here very shortly, because these pipes, and I can go back 20 years ago when they ordered the pipes, didn't fit. They ordered some new pipes, didn't fit. And you know what? The city paid for them. And you know what else? They sent them out to PMUA, and we had to pay for them to have them removed by a company in Newark. Now, if you want to go back in history, I can take you all the way back, Mr. Mayor, to the day you arrived. But it's really hurt me to see you, of all persons, that I worked hard for. I worked hard for you. You smile, but you know something? Smiles also turns into frowns. And I'm going to be one of those that you're going to see often. Often. And like I said, you can give the city away to the carpetbaggers if you want to. But those carpetbaggers also are friends of mine. They are friends of mine before you ever knew who they were. And you may want to pay the cost to turn the city into the carpetbaggers. So I want everyone to know that this was not a surprise to me. You didn't do anything to hurt me. I give you my ring. It costs you more than what you paid me for a year. I give you that right now. And give you $10,000 more.
I'll take it.
So you pick. You're welcome to do it. I'm gonna get it. You're welcome to do it. Because you know something, Mr. Mayor, we have problems. And you have a problem of communicating with the city. Why don't some of you people back behind me come to the PMUA meetings? You do not. You rely on blogs. Mr. Mayor, why don't you come to the PMUA meeting? You do not. Have the city council up here. Do not come to our meeting. I invited one. They came. They learned something that you don't even know. And you need to check it out. It's a lot of cities. This city is ready to collapse right in front of your feet. And within another year, we have another snowstorm. You just might be wading in water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Towers.
I need to respond to Mr. Tolliver.
Excuse me, let them finish your privilege of the floor. Now, if the privilege of the floor is closed, you guys will have a chance to respond.
Stick around, Mr. Tolliver.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Walker. I live at 1210 Frank Street. I was a driver for the Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority. And I agree with Mr. Tarver that the city of Plainfield may be coming to a collapse. Behind the fact that nobody's up here attending PMUA meetings. Yes, nobody's up here attending. We asked for y'all to come attend them. The PMUA has been stalling, I feel has been stalling to give the PMUA workers, the drivers, the collectors, raises. I feel the PMUA, the administration has failed to give the adequate contract to the union that's been put in place to protect, the workers, their workers' rights. People are being let go unfairly and unjustly, every day from PMUA based upon, feelings that's that the administration or the management hold towards them. They're not giving a grievance process. They're not giving excuse me. They're not giving a grievance process. They're not giving a fair chance to address the issues. They're just being let go. They're receiving letters from just management telling they are no longer accepted to work here. You had in the department that I was working in, it's called the high density department, where we did commercial driving. We serviced like the project areas. We serviced a lot of stores, a lot of apartment complexes. When I started, it was 5 drivers, 3 collectors. When I left the PMUA as a driver, we was down to 2 drivers and 3 collectors. And we was put in place to cover 3 zones. We was put in place to cover zones 1, 5, and 7, 2, 3, and 4, and 6, 8, 9, and 10. Only 2 drivers that was put in place to do that. The workload is being put on the people and they're not given no fair chance to voice their opinion. And if they voice their opinion, repercussions being taken where they're being laid off. They're being switched into departments when they have second jobs. They have second jobs because they're not getting no adequate raise for cost of living. You got collectors out there making $10 an hour.
What?
Yes. They out there in the weather, freezing cold, making $10 an hour and haven't received a raise in the 3 years that I've been there. I haven't received a raise in the 3 years out there. I was a driver only making 14. And you have people behind me that's in a pickup truck that's making $21 an hour. All they get out is just to look in the dumpster and just to tell me if it's mixed debris or if it's good, but I can dump it. Then they get back in the pickup truck. So I want y'all to come down to the meetings and listen to what's going on. I want y'all to come to the yard and listen to the workers and what they got to say. Because it's unfair labor practice being implemented on the workers. And they're not receiving no outlet to be able to speak and voice their opinion. We had the union put in place and still the union is not being respected. Mr. Dan Williams said the union is not even in place. He doesn't even respect it. He doesn't even respect the union coming into play. I was a shop steward on the union. I used to sit in for different workers on issues, but was told to leave the room because the union wasn't recognized, so that things could be said or done without any type of fair practice, any type of rights for the workers. Like I said, workers are being let go every day from the PMUA without any rights, without any really justified reasons. The workers are being put in weather conditions and they're not being respected. Me personally, I told my supervisor that, the governor called a state of emergency. The roads was bad. You couldn't go out. When I go out, I'm backing into real tight spaces. I'm different from driving down the street and then doing street cans. I'm backing in and I'm doing 6-yard containers, 3-yard containers, 4-yard containers. So it's kind of different. We backing in between cars, and sometimes the driveways are icy, the truck is slot. Told my supervisor that, hey, the roads is bad, the driveways is even worse because it just snowed. Now it rained on top of the snow. We can't go through these. We can't complete the route.
Can I have a motion to give some more time, please?
So when
One second.
I just wanted to say, this is a labor matter that should be handled by the PMUA, and if there's a grievance, I mean, there's various mechanisms. This is not our issue, so I don't think we should grant more time.
Is there a motion on the floor to give them more time?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Any abstentions? Motion carries.
like I said, you should come down and listen to the workers. Take the time out to hear, invite them to these meetings, and give them a chance to speak. And let them be heard, and try to stand up for them when nobody else will. Like I said, the grievance process is being ignored. You can't even go to human resources and address these issues because you're being told you can't have a grievance. You can't have a grievance form. You're being denied the right to represent your own self in matters. You just got to accept what's being handed down to you. You know, we understand that you at-will employees, but yet give us the respect that we deserve, because we out here in these streets when nobody sees us. 3 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, in the rain, sleet, hail, and snow, and collecting the garbage and recycling. Even though I'm not employed there any longer, I still would like the voice. I still would like for the workers to be heard. I still would like, the union to be recognized. Because there's no one there to speak for them. No one there to fight for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have the mic.
No, it's up to you.
Okay. Hello again, Alan Goldstein, 939 Madison Avenue. Just briefly on that item P, I'd like you to pull it off the consent agenda and vote on it. I think there's serious issues as far as how that RFP was at the timing of the publication of that and the closing date. I don't think it gave adequate time to potential companies that might be interested in it, and I don't believe that it gave the proper time for the city or to try to save a little bit of money for the taxpayers. I think it was a setup deal, actually. Now, PMUA obviously has become a little bit of a topic tonight. We had 2 employees come up here. We've had people saying, come to the PMUA meetings. I've been to the PMUA meetings. I've been here speaking about the PMUA, and most of what I see is that everybody is deflecting to what some of the true issues are. There are a lot, I wouldn't want to call PMUA a disaster, but I think that it's got some major issues that need to be rectified. I've spoken about them in front of this body. I spoke briefly with Mr. West, because Treasurer Sherry Blumenthal had a copy of the interlocal agreement. It's fraud. The core financial relationship between the city and the PMUA in regards to the solid waste business is corrupted 10 weeks after the effective date of that agreement. It has to do with the $1.2 million, it has to do with the city appropriation. And when I didn't come to the meeting when the nominees were up here, and I don't want to say, one nominee is better than any other, or that any of them were better than what we have currently. But to hear city council people talk about how if it isn't broken, why fix it, or they're making progress, obviously there's some big issues. There are infrastructure issues, as they let you know. There are employment issues, and there are contractual issues.
And you can't just shirk your responsibility as the ones who appoint these officials. Now, it's true that the mayor nominates them, but it's the city council that appoints them. They give their advice and consent. If you don't want them, they're not there. Every one of those sitting commissioners need to be replaced, and some, if not all, with cause. I find it fairly outrageous that you've got city council people who were there at the beginning of PMUA, who are now, and were there at the time that this agreement was corrupted, who are now sitting on the PMUA board. And you have former commissioners who are now sitting on this governing body. People who under whose watch some of these abuses have occurred. People who have a vested interest in making certain that no one looks at what is really going on. So I find it interesting that of all the nominations that were offered, the longest tenured commissioner was the only one that was approved. And everybody else was rejected. Now, I don't want to say that this person is good, this person is bad. I know some of them, I don't know some of them. But it seems to me that the only person whose name gets back in front of you tonight is the one person who knows the least about what's going on there. I would like to also address the comment that Mr. Tolliver made. He was talking about the difficulty of being on a governing body, basically, and taking abuse. Because I think regardless of where you stand on a particular issue, you're going to be yelled at by somebody. But to tell you that we get $4,500 is such baloney. Because Mr. Tolliver himself, he gets a package of health care benefits, he gets a package with dental and vision and retirement. So he may get $4,500 in cash, but he's getting like $20,000 in perks. He's getting $20,000 in...
Is there a motion?
Second.
No, I don't have a motion on the table.
So I make a motion to extend the time.
I'll just be...
You have to wait until you get approved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No second, motion fails.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Mr. Tolliver, you already had your chance at tonight. You can't come back.
Can't come back from Bob. Just one.
No, your wife can't.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Diane Tolliver, 123 Sumner Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey. I have two issues tonight, and I don't want the buzzer to buzz on me. I was not pleased with the condition of the roads. I'm too old to be falling and breaking anything, as most of you in here. What I found was, and what I saw happen, the plow came down Sumner Avenue, plowed in what I had just, and my husband, with a bad back, had just shoveled out. I didn't witness any salt. As far as I know, in the budget, there should be some salt for the roads in the city besides South Avenue, Front Street, any other county road. Sumner Avenue looked like the Wild Wild West. It's very, very bumpy. I don't know what happened, but I'm not happy about it. Now, addressing the situation with the PMUA, I'm not on the PMUA, don't want to be on the PMUA, but all I can tell you is, whereas every good man, there's a good woman, and I am her. I can only tell you about Mr. Tolliver, the many sleepless nights he's been up agonizing over the PMUA and the things that have happened and the things that have not happened. I have a business in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I have been in business 27 years, and anyone in here that can tell me that a company that has problems somewhere, somehow, you tell me if I'm wrong. That's why I'm in business 27 years, because I address those problems. There's no company that run properly that comes without a mistake. Mistakes will be made. And the small amount of money that Mr. Tolliver gets is not enough to pay him nor any other commissioner for the work that they put out. The money is not the issue. The public is supposed to be the issue. The people at hand. We're getting it all twisted in here. It's not about how much money he made. No retirement, this, that, and the other. What about the workers? What about this? What about, as the council, you are supposed to help to correct those things. I'm tired of sitting here listening to everybody argue. Are we coming together consecutively, or are we going to argue? Mr. Matt, I worked very hard for you. I took my job working as a candidate on the polls for you very seriously. I folded more papers than I ever thought in my life. But I took my job very seriously. You was a Democrat, and so was I. And I had a conversation with you, and you told me, get to know you. Were those not your words?
Yes.
Yes, they were. And all I'm asking you as the council to do is get the facts before you pass judgment. As the Bible says, any of you without sin, cast the first stone. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Carell Martin, 1201 East Front Street. My comment is about what I've heard this evening. The legal shield, it sounds, if that's what the people want, the workers are asking for it, and it's not taking from the city. I mean, all you're going to have someone do is do payroll. But the question for the employee should be, is there an early termination fee? Like if they decide they don't want to be in it any longer, can they just call the clerk and say, well, you know, whoever's doing the payroll, that they want to stop it? Or is there a penalty? Do they have to be in it for a certain amount of time? And if I was an employee and it was affecting my check, I would be sitting in here backing up who it is that I'm sending to support me and speak for me. So that's something that they should ask, you know. Otherwise, I don't see the harm in it if that's what the people are asking for and it's not taking anything from the city. And the poor gentleman that lost his job was very calm. You know, unfortunately, it's very sad to hear that when someone loses their livelihood after 8 years of service. And it would be nice if he, his union, his employer could get together and come to some kind of agreement and maybe give the man another chance. You know, and let bygones be bygones, move forward. You know, I'm sure that man has a family, bills to pay. It's hard now, but of course, as adults, we have to be responsible for our own actions. So you are there to work, you don't need nobody to micromanage you, but everybody needs their job today or they would not be working. And again, I propose that we have a humanity week here in Plainfield, like the 4th week of each month, where we treat each other with kindness and learn how to get along. We really need this. And I'm kind of happy too to see the snow out here because I don't want to see the litter when the snow melts away again. So that's something else that I want to work on, and I'm sure as residents here that would help me clean Plainfield back up. That's it for this evening. Thank you.
John E. Pritchard, 723 Arlington Avenue, Plainfield. Mayor, Joe, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I have a few things I'd like to bring to your attention. First of all, we need to get the lights on at the War Memorial in front of the City Hall. It's out. Last time I checked. It is time also that we honor those who served our country and those who are serving now. That's my second thing right now. And it is time that you members of the council come up with a resolution honoring those who serve our country, especially those of our sons and daughters who are in uniform. We failed our guys during the war in Vietnam. I don't want to do that. I don't want to find that we're doing that over again by turning our backs on them. In their memory, 16 men who lost their lives in the war in Vietnam, I'll sing. They loved us so. Every day in 100 ways, they told us so. In honesty, in affection, they told us so. us so. Every day in 100 ways they showed us so. In honesty, in affection, with loyalty and bravery, they showed us so. They were defenders and they kept us free. They took an oath to guard us and fought for liberty. They loved us so, and we should know, for we love them so. And last but not least, I have here an article about the federal health care reform law, which requires hospitals to undertake a community health needs assessment, and if so, what are the elements of that assessment? I hereby submit this to the council's attention. And the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, that I submitted this is to argue for the reactivation of Muhlenberg. Are we going to let Muhlenberg pass us by? Oh, no, we're not going to do that. And I'm not talking about head colds or earaches, I'm talking about many people's lives. We need a hospital. We do not need an apartment complex at that site. We need a hospital, we need it badly, and we need it ASAP. And the sooner we activate Muhlenberg, the better off we all will be. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, you do.
My name is Janine Lytle, 467 West 4th Street. I didn't come about PMUA or Legal Shield or soldiers. I came about the children. I saw all this stuff in this agenda. I heard all of these people get up. Not once has anyone mentioned the children. Our children play on probably one of the worst fields in the state. Our children that play at Solid Field, we play up against these powerhouse teams. Our kids give a lot. Our cheerleaders were just national champions. National. Like, they're not the Plainfield champions, they aren't the state champions, they're national champions. But when they come home, they go to a place where the building where they have the concession stand is condemned. The field is in horrible condition. There's barely any place for our people to come out and acknowledge our children. I'm coming as a parent because if everybody is all concerned with $4,500 to this person on PMUA and this money to that, but where is the concern for our children? There are barely programs, and the programs that are ran by the city, I don't want to take away from. My children are active participants in the basketball program. It's an excellent program. They give the children something to do. They, make time for them. The people who are there are dedicated, but that's one program, and that's one thing. Outside of that, what do we offer? We have all of these various places, buildings that are available, open, and while everybody's sitting arguing about a bunch of, I don't want to say nothing, because to me it's nothing when I have two sons who are facing what's in these streets. It's very difficult as a parent to sit here and listen to people bicker back and forth about little minuscule stuff when, what about our kids walking to school? People talking about them sliding to shovel, but our kids have to walk to school on these same streets. To me, that should be the concern. So I don't know who do we speak to or who do we go to about some of the city buildings that are not being utilized. The parking bureau is empty. No one's using it. They don't use it at all. What can be done with that? These kids need a safe haven. They need a spot where they can go, where they feel comfortable, things that they can do outside of just whatever the school is offering, or when the school day ends, now they're right back to the streets or whatever. So I'm sorry, I don't touch base with the PMUA issue or any of those other things, because to me that's not my concern. As long as my kids can throw the garbage away, I don't care. It's the garbage that they have to walk past when they going out to throw the garbage away. So I don't know what can be done, who do we need to speak to, how do we go about trying to lease some of these city-owned properties or different things that are not being utilized anyway?
Can I just make a very brief comment? With regard to the Seidler Field issue, for us that we'll be voting on tonight, $200,000 to assist in improvements to Seidler Field. So that's one part, if we get the grant money, but slowly, it's part of that. Okay.
And then for your other issues, Mr. Council, Mayor Matt Rucci, speak to the administration.
Any issues that you have pertaining to the city, you should direct to the city administrator, who's sitting right here. His name is Mr. Ricky Williams.
On your mind. We're on your mind tonight.
I apologize. You speak to Mr. Ricky Smiley. And it's because his name is Smiley, I'm smiling. But as far as your concerns about recreation and the condition of our fields, we have every intention of addressing those issues and looking to identify the resources that will help us. There is an idea that we have that we're going to be working on that we will be bringing forward in the not too distant future that if approved, it will help us to get the additional resources that it will take to address the recreational needs across the city of Plainfield. But I invite you to reach out to Mr. Ricky Smiley, and you can try to have an audience with him so that we could hear firsthand from you in detail some of the concerns that you have.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Malcolm Dunn. I live at 1038 Central Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey. And I do want to take the opportunity to come to this new administration's year and say good luck. And I wish you and the council, Ms. Mayor, and the council the wisdom you need to run the city. I want to say, first of all, Mr. Mapp and I are personal friends. He and his wife and me and my wife have attended plays and dinner and talked about this day years ago. Okay, so I just want to add, let everybody here know that Malcolm Dunn does not lie to anybody. Okay, never has and never will. My dad cured me that many years ago. Mr. Mapp, in my opinion, is probably one of the most qualified individuals, and I told him so in front of his wife and mine, that's ever applied for the job of mayor in the city of Plainfield. I'm talking about in his governmental service. On the council, I worked with him, welcomed him, and embraced him, Mr. Storch, and others who came during the time I was there. I was there for 14 years, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Mr. Mapp, all due respect, as good as you are, as a freeholder, as a council person, as a council president, as a member of the city council, as a CPA, as a business administrator, as a financial officer, you're not perfect, as the last statement would attest to. Sometimes you make mistakes, and we forgive you. I want to say to the gentleman who came up earlier about conditions at the PMUA, we are under the constraint as commissioners not to talk to those people who sought to vote a union in to represent them. It is against the law. Unfair labor practice, I understand. When I voted for Mr. Williamson over there and had Ms. Brokaw sit next to me and had Leslie London, I knew that I would have 3 lawyers there to make sure I didn't go beyond the boundaries. So I have done nothing over there illegal. I might have done things people don't understand or like, but I take my service while I was here when it was created as my justification of doing whatever I did. I want to say that you should know, and you would know, if you sent more than one person over to the PMUA meeting. We have 2 meetings a month. And we say that we welcome, and I can say I've only seen, to my knowledge, to my remembrance, one council person over there 2 times. It's been Ms. Reeves. Okay? I haven't seen anybody else over there this year, in the last year. And I feel, I'm not accusing, I'm saying, you guys are busy. 2 of you at least alternate or come so you will know what we do. If you had come, you would know, not in total, but you would know if you kept records of what we did each year, that we have saved approximately $1.3 million over the previous year in annual expenses. Okay? Number 2, we've brought in $1 million in additional revenue. All of that wasn't due to Mr. Williams, our former mayor, and my wish that we sell our services to other places. Some of it came from Mr. Mitchell's representation on the PARSA board. And those of you who don't know about the PARSA, that was an agency that we owned 62% before. 62% of for 50 years. And a council gave it away. I'm the only person who voted against it, and today we only one of maybe 12 municipalities that pay. Back this year, approximately $400,000. So that million, excess of $1 million that we brought in wasn't only work done, money received as a result of something we did. It was a situation, agency that we belong to. And due to the economies that they experienced, they gave us a rebate of about $400,000. With regard to the union, and that gentleman who says he lost his job, we cannot talk to him, but he can talk to the lawyer who is the union representative who is working to represent them, and he can represent his issues to the assemblage of their lawyer and our lawyer. I hope, of all the things I say, the most important one is that 2 of you, or 1 come at least every meeting so you know what's going on. These figures don't lie. Mrs. Taylor and Mrs. Rivers, I worked with your relatives on that council to bring this city back.
Second.
May I?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor and Ms. Rivers, I worked with your relatives on the council and your husband as mayor. When Rick Taylor went to South Jersey to get the enterprise zone for this city, I don't know if any of you remember, the state was to issue 2, 1 north and 1 south. They issued 2 in the south, and Mr. Taylor came back and he told me about it. And I simply went to the phone book and said, Mr. Taylor, 609, what is that? He said, South Jersey. What is the area code of the 2 cities? I think it was Bridgeton and another one. He said, 609. Let's go back and tell him that 201 is in the north and Plainfield's in the north, and get it. He went back and got it. With regard to Mr. Storch and Mr. Matt as council persons, I welcomed them on the council and worked with them to let them know, to the best of my ability, how things went. And they, as you see, they're still here. Mr. Matt has elevated himself to the mayor. Regarding some of the naysayers here, who are very good with regard to their research.
Mr. Dunn, would you address the council, please? Thank you.
But you can apply for appointment to the city. And if you give any credence to his words, put him on there. It's easy to stand back and accuse when you don't have to make the decisions, okay, what we have to make all the time. I don't know how much we can save next year. I don't know what additional revenue we've got. But I know one thing, if Sandy comes again, we are ready in terms of our capacity. And that alone, God blessed us, yes, blessed us with that hurricane to test us. And when you found out about our transfer station, and stuff was piled higher than this building for at least a half an acre, and we moved it, and we charged people for that. That's the additional revenue that came in. I want to end with saying that I was the first person on this council to serve with 4 women. And now we have 5. This morning I watched Queen Latifah, and she had Morgan Freeman on. He asked Morgan Freeman, if you had the choice to do things, what would you do? And one of the things he said, I would put the women in charge. And Queen Latifah said, we'll end the show on that. Thank you very much.
contract 1345 East 2nd Street. I'm going to make this real easy. I think it's, to coin your phrase, Councilwoman Williams, unconscionable. I think it's disrespectful that any citizen coming to any municipal building, when they get out of their car because of the conditions outside this building or any other municipal building, that they have to walk all the way down to the corner to try and get on the sidewalk from there to come all the way back here. At least there should be spacing at intervals from one corner to the other, so when people get out of their car, they can easily approach the sidewalk. Now, I remember many, well, not too many years ago, I would enjoy running up and down that snowbank on the curb. Now I fear it. Anyone that has anything that's breakable would fear it. And all I'm asking is that between now and the weekend, somebody get somebody out there and make, at least at the municipal buildings, opening so the public can have egress or do whatever they need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more for privilege of the floor? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close privilege of the floor?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Council
Oh, I'm
President, I do want to make, I need to respond to Mr. Tolliver's comments. Mr. Tolliver and I talk often. We get along, we communicate, and I was very disappointed to hear what you said and the tone of what you said. You should know that nobody on the PMUA or any of these boards and commissions or the council has a lifetime seat. You should know that because there are no original PMUA commissioners. You replace somebody, everybody on that commission replaced somebody, and not all those vacancies were because somebody passed away. Now, all those people who were replaced during my time on the council, 10 years, none of them came to the microphone at a council meeting with sour grapes and tried to bash the mayor. And you pointed to him and basically said, this city's going to fall apart and we're going to hold you accountable. This is a mayor who's been in place for a month. That's really an inappropriate, unfair, and ludicrous comment. And I'm really disappointed. Well, shame on you for saying it.
Mr.
And I'm not asking for you, I'm not asking you a question.
Wait, excuse me. Privilege of the floor is closed. You cannot address the council right now.
I cannot rebate what
No,
you
we
can
have
talk.
another
After the meeting.
We have
We
another
always
meeting.
talk.
You cannot address the council right now.
Okay, I just wanted to be able to...
Mr. Tolliver, with all due respect, please respect this meeting. You cannot address the council. Privilege of the floor is closed.
Well, then I'm going to go sit down and let him talk all day long. That's what he's saying.
Well, you said your piece, now I'm saying mine.
Mr. Stewart, you can't go back and forth. Mr. Tolliver.
Of Chicago. Right. You know, this is getting to be a little nonsensical at all, regardless who the president is. And I don't mind that. That's not a problem.
Mr. Tolliver.
I'm leaving. But I just want to address that. I have been
Mr.
on more
Tolliver.
council than you've been. I'm leaving.
People have to take responsibility for their comments.
I do.
Seeing no more comments, can I have a motion to adjourn? Need a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now we're going into our regular business.
Why are you surprised? Is this the first time these branches been back in 10 years? Glad it came up. I never heard this song before. I know his case very well. No, I didn't say that either. I cooked it.
That notice having been transmitted to the Courier News and the Star Ledger on January 8, 2014, as well as posted on the bulletin board in the city clerk's office. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Yes, Madam President. Council members Brown.
Here.
Breeze.
Here.
Storch. Here. Taylor.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Chairman Reed.
Here.
Council President Rivas.
Here.
Madam President, we have all members present in the quorum.
Thank you. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all those who work for justice and peace. Amen.
Amen. Yes. Do we have any approval of minutes?
Not at this time, Madam President.
Any communication from the mayor?
Yes, from His Honor the Mayor, Adrian O'Mapp, correspondence dated January 20th, 2014, addressed to members of the governing body, requesting the advice and consent. John Favezo to serve as a member of the Plainfield Historic Preservation Commission. Charles Tyndale to serve as a commissioner on the Plainfield Municipal Utilities Authority. Ronald West, Lamar David Maxon, Joseph DeRoll, Timothy Thompson, Teron Dow, Jan Massey, John Jay, Carmen Cedar Piles, and Richard Lear to serve as members of the Plainfield Cable Television Advisory Board. That concludes communications from His Honor the Mayor.
Any other communications and petitions?
None to report at this time.
On reports of special committees?
The none submitted.
Any unfinished business?
There are none.
Okay, turn it over to Mr. Chairman.
Under consideration for ordinance for passage on second reading, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 1, Article 1, General Provisions, Section 1:1-15, authorizing charges for copies of public records and fees and for other services of the municipal code of the city of Plainfield. And I request that the clerk produce affidavit of publication and at the same time reading the ordinance by title.
Clerk's office concurs with the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed and further certifies that this ordinance was published in the Courier News February 1st, 2014, and the Star Ledger on February 3rd, 2014.
Thank you. I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any person desiring to be heard on this subject will now be given the opportunity to speak.
Seeing none, Madam Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on the second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
We need a second first.
I'm sorry.
Second. I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call?
It's Madam President. It's roll call on MC 2014-01. Councilwoman Brown.
Yes.
Councilwoman Reeves.
I have a question.
You can't answer questions during the vote.
Can't be done in a roll call.
Yes.
Councilman Storch.
Yes.
Can I come?
Councilwoman Taylor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Ordinance has been adopted on first reading.
Mr. Chairman, would you please offer MC 2014-12 for second reading?
Dash 02.
I'm sorry, 02.
That's right. Under consideration of ordinance for passage on second reading, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Department of Public Affairs and Safety, Section 13C, the establishment of the Office of the Police Director and the creation of Section 13F, Deputy Police Director. And I request that the clerk produce an affidavit of publication and at the same time read the ordinance by title.
Clerk's office concurs with the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed and further certifies this ordinance was published in the Courier News on February 1st, 2014, and in the Star Ledger on February 3rd, 2014.
I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any person desiring to be heard on this subject will now be given the opportunity to speak. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seeing none?
Seeing none, I move that the hearing be closed. I need a second for that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on the second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law. I need a second, and I'd like to make a comment.
Yes. Second. Second. Okay.
And the comment is, this again is an impact on our budget. Taxes will go up. And if it's passed and we get another position in the police department, in my opinion, it may be top heavy, but just remember the taxes.
Any more comments? Can I have a roll call, please?
Roll call on MC 2014-02. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
Chairman Reed,
No.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
It's 5 in favor, 2 opposed. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading.
Mr. Chairman, would you please offer MC 2014-3 for second reading?
Yes, Madam President. Under consideration of an ordinance for passage on the second reading, an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City of Plainfield, Deputy Police Director. This is the ordinance to give the Deputy Police Director a salary. And I request that the clerk produce an affidavit of publication and at the same time read the ordinance by title.
Clerk's office concurs with the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed. Further certifies this ordinance is published in the Courier News February 1st and the Star Ledger on February 3rd, 2014.
Thank you. I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any persons desiring to be heard on this subject will now be given an opportunity to speak. Floor is open.
Okay.
Wait, somebody's coming.
Yes, we do have one person coming. Branch.
Yes, James Branch, I gave an address earlier,
I need your address, sir.
40 Ann Street, we started there with that. But as far as the issue of reference to hiring more police and a few other things, I think, our society has been through a lot of issues, and basically it shows our relationships are not healthy. And I think it's time that, the realistic infrastructure, as far as the moral house, which includes the churches, the mosques, and the temples, sit down and assess really what's going on how we talk and relate to one another. Just giving these police officers money, and talking about they can't figure out where the gangs are, they can't find out where this, that, and that, and the other, it's not working, realistically. And they need to, we do need to have the churches sit down and discuss how they can handle our communities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, just briefly,
Your name?
Mustafa Muhammad, 919 East Front Street, Plainfield, New Jersey. There's two sides of this argument in regards, I hear Councilman Reed very, very well in regards to taxes, in regards to our city would create another position insofar as the police department. However, there's another side to this coin. This can be balanced with a lot of things that we funnel into the police department, a lot of things that are unnecessary, that the police department doesn't necessarily need in regards to practices, for more efficient law enforcement within our community. We don't need more weapons. We definitely don't need automatic weapons. We don't need a whole lot of the gear that we put a whole lot of money in. Nevertheless, we do need administrative positions and people that are from this demographics, that has a vested interest here, that's connected to this community, that will speak for this community, that can protect this community. And that's very, very important. I mean, there is a national program, for an example, that exists within the nation I think it's in Boston, it's in a few other communities. It's called ENOTA program, Educating Neighborhoods to Obey Those in Authority. Right now, there's a great divide when it comes to our police department, law enforcement, and our community. You know, and that's why we have the reality of, if you're not aware of it, this new Jim Crow that exists as a result of policies that are enforced within our community that comes majorly from law enforcement and prosecutors. That's legislated on down from policies. See, so and you control the local policies. So the local policy, it also begins with administrative positions with people that would understand and have a connect with the community. And for that reason, I think that we need to implement and we need to add this kind of administrative position, provided that we have the right people in the right place. Thank you so much for the consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, I move that the hearing be closed. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on the second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law. I need a second. I'd like to just make a comment.
Second.
My comment is, again, this is our taxes. Period.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Roll call on MC 2014-03. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
Chairman Reed,
No.
and Council President Rivers.
Yes.
5 in favor, 2 opposed. Ordinance has been adopted on second reading.
Mr. Chairman, would you please offer MC 2014-04 for second reading?
Thank you, I will. Under consideration of an ordinance for passage on second reading, an ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code, and is part-time temporary municipal court judge. And request that the clerk produce an affidavit of publication and at the same time read the ordinance by title.
Clerk's office concurs with the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed. Further certifies that this ordinance was published in the Courier News on February 1st, 2014, and in the Star Ledger on February 3rd, 2014.
Thank you. I move that a public hearing be held on the said ordinance, and I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any persons desiring to be heard on this subject will now be given the opportunity to speak.
Seeing no person come up, Madam President, I move that the hearing be closed. Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
Second.
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call on MC 2014-04, seconded by Councilman Storch. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Yes.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
That's unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading.
Mr. Chairman, would you please offer MC 2014-05 for second reading?
Yes, Madam President. MC 2014-05 is under consideration for passage on second reading. An ordinance amending the schedule of salaries and wages adopted pursuant to Article 14, Chapter 11 of the Municipal Code of the City. And this is for a municipal court judge. And I request that the clerk produce an affidavit of publication and at the same time read the ordinance by title.
Clerk's office concurs with the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed and further certifies that this ordinance was published in the Courier News on February 1st, 2014, and the Star Ledger on February 3rd, 2014.
Okay, I move that a public hearing be held on this ordinance, said ordinance.
Another second.
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Any persons desiring to be heard on this subject will now be given an opportunity to speak. Floor is open.
Seeing no one approach the mic, Madam President, I move that the hearing be closed. Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on second reading and final passage, and if adopted, the ordinance shall be published as required by law.
Second. May I have a
I
second?
need a second?
Second. Roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Roll call on MC 2014-05, seconded by Councilwoman Taylor. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Yes.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
That's unanimous. This ordinance has been adopted on second reading.
Thank you. Okay. The floor is now open for public comments limited to resolutions, motions, and ordinance to be introduced on first reading. The floor is open.
Council President, before we go into public comments, I just want to add that on the printed agenda in front of you, we added R049-A, -14, and that's dealing with the recommendation for Legal Shield. R049B-14, and that's appointments, City Council appointments to the Cable Advisory Board. In addition to that, we have removed from the printed agenda R068-14 and R069-14.
Thank you. Okay, the floor is now open, limited to resolutions, motions, and ordinance to be introduced on first reading.
Good evening. My name is Flor Gonzalez, 14 Watson Avenue. First of all, I wanted to support the mayor. I understand that it's going to be a very bad weather, and it's not only the city of Plainfield that it looks like that. I was this morning in New York, and it's terrible. So I understand that we would need programs.
So ordinances.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Ordinance, I think in 86 for the bilingual daycare, or is there any program? Sorry.
Yes.
No, this particular resolution doesn't support Plainfield Action Services or Bilingual Daycare Center. It's specifically for the Municipal Alliance.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more for the privilege of the floor?
Alan Goldstein, 939 Madison Avenue. We continue on I think it's 5114, the PMUA nomination. I wasn't at the last meeting when you had all the interviews, but I did get to see it on television. As I was saying, I don't know Mr. Tyndale. I presume that he's got the credentials and some of the professional background to bring positive influence to the authority. I think one thing that I noticed was a pretty impassioned plea. Not even a request, a plea at this point, by Mayor Mapp, suggesting that the PMUA needs transformational change. And it does. They've got difficulties with the interceptor. They had some shortfalls, I believe, with the initial contracts with some of the outside municipalities, which came right before the storm. They forced all their employees to take 5-day furloughs last year. They've laid off people. They've got a wage freeze scheduled for this year. There's a lot of juggling that's going on here, as well as some of the legal issues, the contractual issues, and so on and so forth. I think it's critical, even if you don't get control of the board, where you might be able to actually have a minimal amount of change, but to get a voice on that board, and somebody who is willing to do the legwork, like reading the interlocal agreement, like reading the creation ordinance under their organization, their bylaws, their employee policies. And you'll see right through there's like a total disregard. So, as I was saying, I don't know Mr. Tyndale. I imagine that Mayor Mapp would not have nominated anyone, who had no basis for understanding of the PMUA or issues that would be closely related to it.
And I think that you have another opportunity to make a small change. It's hardly going to be transformational change, but I know that you're going to get no change from the board that is currently in place. And I think that you ought to consider that very strongly, particularly those of you who don't have a vested interest in making certain that no rocks are unturned and no questions are asked. And those of you, who may have a more open attitude towards this, to reflect on it and begin those changes.
Mr. Goldstein, your time is up. Thank you. Anyone for public comments? No, you were already up here, sir.
See no one.
Sir.
I move we close the public comment period.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Secretary, back over to you.
All matters listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the City Council. It will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately under new business in its normal sequence later on the agenda. The items I have listed for the consent agenda are R049-14, R049A and B-14, R050-14, R052-14, and R057-14 through R067-14.
Thank you. Out of those resolutions listed and just announced by our esteemed clerk, which includes R049-14, R049A-14, O49B, O50-14, O52-14, and R57-14 through R67-14, and a move for adoption. I need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call on consent agenda. Seconded by Councilman Storch. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Yes.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
It's unanimous. The consent agenda has been adopted.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, would you please offer the remaining resolutions?
Thank you. I offer resolution R50-14, which is a resolution authorizing the appointment.
49A, legal short.
51.
No, that was
51.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
51.
I'm sorry. I offer resolution 051-14, which is a resolution authorizing the appointment of Mr. Charles Tyndale at 56 Academy Avenue to serve as a member of the Plainfield Municipal Utility Authority. I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Roll call on resolution R51-14, seconded by Councilman Storch. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
No.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
No.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
It's 4 in favor, 3 opposed, resolution passes.
Moving right along, I go to R52-14. Resolution authorizing the appointment of Mr. Ron West.
I thought that was consent.
That was consent.
That was consent too?
It's 53.
53, I'm sorry. I got the script to this stuff. I offer resolution R53-14, which is authorizing the approval of a qualified service provider in accordance with the Plainfield Municipal Code. And this is for the Office of Cooperation Council.
Have a
Need a
second?
second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Yes.
Council President Burrs.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Resolution's been adopted.
Okay, I guess that's all 54.
Correct.
I hereby introduce Resolution R 054-14, authorizing an initial appropriation for Antonelli Council, PC, his firm, in the amount not to exceed $35,000 and move for its adoption.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call on R054-14. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Council President Burrs.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Resolution's been adopted.
I hereby introduce R 55-14, which authorizes the execution of an agreement between the City of Plainfield and Reliance Insurance Group for insurance broker risk management consulting service and move for its adoption. Need a second?
Second, I have a question.
Yes.
One of the questions that Mr. Goldstein brought up was the percentage. Is that something, well, I guess the question is, was there an attempt to negotiate it down, and why wouldn't, go ahead.
We underwent as required by our code to undergo a request for proposals for brokerage services. We put out that request for proposals and received 2 responses. Both those responses included a 6% commission fee.
In that case, given, and it's, I guess, given his comment about how another nearby municipality pays less, would it not behoove the administration to maybe go out again, or not?
There's no guarantee in the sense if we go out again that we get any other numbers. We certainly can't solicit. Our requirement is merely to put it out to bid. We receive the responses that we have. We are in need of brokerage services. As you know, we just entered a new JIF that was negotiated largely by our broker and bringing us the savings. So having a broker is important, and having it in a timely manner. To that end, the administration put out this RFP, and we received the responses at the same rate, unfortunately, the 6%.
Thank you. Call for the vote, please.
Roll call on Resolution R055-14, which is seconded by Councilman Williams. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Council President Burrs.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Resolution's been adopted.
I hereby introduce Resolution R 56-14, which authorizes a professional service agreement between the City of Plainfield and the Inserco Insurance Services, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $62,000, and I move for its adoption. I need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Greaves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Council President Burrs.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Okay, let me move through the consent resolution. Next one.
70.
Okay, I hereby introduce Resolution R70-14, which awards the contract in the amount of $49,000 to the Community Consultants LLC for the provision of housing rehabilitation and move for its adoption. The amount is $49,500.
I'll second it, and I have some questions for the administration.
Okay.
This service, is it to administer the program or to actually do the repairs?
understanding this is to administer the service for 11 households. We got one bid on this before you. We got one bid to undertake this contract.
Okay, that was my second question.
Yes.
So, one bid seems inadequate, and is this time sensitive, or can we actually go back to bid? Because having one bid just seems, it defeats the whole purpose of competitive bidding. So where do we advertise this, and why do we only have one bid?
Councilman, that's all that responded to the bid specifications.
Where did we advertise?
The papers,
Which
our
papers?
our papers, the Courier News, the Star Ledger. Yes, and we posted on the website.
Posted on the website. I think we need to strategize on how we can get more bids. And if this is something that can be pushed back a month, I would favor the administration trying to get more bids and coming back to us. Is that acceptable? Does that work for the administration?
Councilor Storch, I don't believe that a whole lot of construction is going to be done right now. So I would not have a problem in trying to see if we get more responders to this bid.
So I want to make a motion. Before I make my motion, I don't want to prevent anybody else from speaking.
Yeah,
but
can I-
I will make a motion to table, but go ahead.
How, of the 11 households, how do you determine who qualifies and what are the qualifications actually?
Councilor Graves, you asked about of the 11.
Yes, he said there were 11 households. That's what Mrs. Smiley just said.
Are you referring to the household?
Yes.
And you're asking, how do you
How do you determine what households are? What are the qualifications for the household and how much do they get for the repairs?
Mr. Smiley will look into that and he will get back to you with the proper response.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor to table.
So I make that motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Yes,
abstain?
I oppose.
Roll call.
Roll call on motion to table. Council members Brown,
Yes, for motion to table.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
No.
Council President Rivers.
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed, motion to table passes.
Okay, I hereby introduce Resolution R71-14, which authorizes the submission of a Community Block Grant Program Year 40, 2014 to 2015, funding priorities, and move for its adoption. Need a second?
Second.
Can you get like that? I thought I heard the city administrator make a comment at the beginning of the meeting about, maybe I didn't hear that right, proposing changes to the Community Development Block Grant program? No. Okay, I must have been hearing things. Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call on resolution R71-14. Council members Brown,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Storch,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Reed,
Of course, yes.
and Council President Rivers.
Yes.
It's unanimous, resolution's been adopted.
We now have come to ordinance on first reading. Mr. Chairman, will you please offer MC 2014-06 for first reading?
Thank you. Madam President, under the introduction of ordinances on first reading, I introduce the accomplishing ordinance identified as MC 2014-06, which is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation and to establish a capped bank, and request that the title be read.
Clerk's office has heard the reading of the ordinance by Chairman Reed.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, and if adopted, that the clerk shall advertise this ordinance as required by law, and that a second reading of said ordinance shall be held at a regular meeting in the municipal court council chambers here at 325 Watchung Avenue on Monday, March 10, 2014 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard. I need a second.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Storch?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Council President Rivers?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted on first reading.
Thank you.
I turn it over to you, Madam President.
Okay, we now come to general public comment segment of tonight's meeting, but before we come, I would like for Mr. Tyndall to come stand up, come to the mic. He's a newly appointed, just give a couple brief comments.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the council for the opportunity to serve. I look forward to doing it. Thank the mayor for being confident to nominate me to the position. And I look forward to working with all of you, or individually, however it goes. I look forward to seeing the Goldstein at the meeting, to seem to have pretty extended knowledge of the whole proceedings. And, you know, bringing a fresh view, fresh perspective, I think it will be something that could be a big benefit to anyway. I look forward to it. And, actually, I'm not even too sure, you know? Today, I was a bit concerned, but
should be.
You know, it seems like a big job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Tyndall?
Yes, sir.
When you go there, please pay attention to the regulations and consider who you are serving here in Plainfield, please. Thank you.
John E. Pritchard, 753 Arlington Avenue, Plainfield. This month is Black History Month, and we should study the history of our black soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Airmen, because no other country except America gives our people the opportunity, black and white, yellow and brown, to rise within our military services. Only in America can a Buffalo soldier, that's my term for a black soldier, can rise to chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is usually a 4-star billet. It should be 7 stars on his shoulder boards because he's the highest ranking officer in all of America. And it's time we back our servicemen. I urge the City Council, the members of the Council, to pass an ordinance stating that we support our armed services personnel, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Air Force, and everyone in black and white, yellow and brown, of whatever national origin, because America's, with its imperfections, of course, is the greatest nation of all. And we should back them up. We failed to back up our men who were fighting in Vietnam. And we lost 16 men from Plainfield alone. And they lost their lives fighting for our country. And in their honor, I'd like to sing. They loved us so. Every day 100 ways they told us so. In honesty, in affection, they told us so. They loved us so. Every day in 100 ways they showed us so. With loyalty and bravery they showed us so. They were our defenders and they kept us free. They took an oath to guard us and fought for liberty. They loved us so, and we should know, for we love them. need to reactivate the hospital. I do not want an apartment complex at that site. We need a hospital, we need it badly, and we need it ASAP. We need a hospital that is capable of mission, just like we need a police department that's capable of mission, a fire department that's capable of mission, rescue squads and EMSs that are capable of mission. We need a hospital that's capable of mission also. We are 30 miles from ground zero, 30 miles from dead center. I don't want to see smoke coming from behind trees again, but we need Muhlenberg reactivated. And it's time we made JFK lay square eggs. The sooner we activate Muhlenberg, the better off we all will be. Do I make myself clear?
I'm blessed. You know, primarily, there's a lot.
Excuse me, can I have your name and address, please?
James Branch. We're getting back into Plainfield. This is 40 Ann Street that's in New York, but I'm moving back into Plainfield.
What is your address, sir?
I said 40 Ann Street. I'm moving back into Plainfield. For several years, I've been working on an interfaith dialogue project that discuss the infrastructure of our relationships and trying to get to the core issue of our moral values. A couple of months ago, we started our usual work sessions, inside-outside talks, yoga, tai chi, efforts in the war mentality. And, you know, we found in New York, it's too racist. And it started dealing with, you know, you got the Pope on the cover of the Rolling Stone. And the reason for that is because they're making an initiative to reconnect with communities where we want to bring them back, sit them down, talk about the importance of our moral health and how we can rebuild our infrastructure, including that of clean water. Now, I know that as far as dealing with what goes on in Plainfield, and Plainfield basically has been labeled the New Jerusalem. So, but as far as dealing with that, we can't continue with this racial and unethical religious foundation going on as far as what's going on with our society. So as far as dealing with this is a place of court where you had 7 or 5 votes that are needed. We would request that one of the members from the temple, the 26th Jerusalem Lodge, come to Plainfield, come to the meeting and identify himself and assist with this, racial barrier that's in existence. Meanwhile, I would like to give this package to Councilman Tracy Brown and ask her if she could identify a moral or religious organization that could address the planning that's going on with the dialogue efforts. You know, Plainfield has some musicians that have won Grammy Awards, prominent Funkadelic, and we have some that have not been properly recognized, like Bernie Worrell. And during this particular time, we want to put our program forward, put our proper financing, and get our recognition, and have our musicians on the cover of Rolling Stone. Thank you.
Good evening. Now I can talk and okay. I just want to make sure. Well, I was for 10 Washington Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey, and I have been here since 1979 that I came to this country. I want to again support the mayor. I know that it's a hard work, and hopefully one day we have PNUA and Public Works to work together and help each other for days like this. That way we don't have those complaints about the ice and the snow and all of that. Could be very good. And also could be very good if we implemented our own community service. We have a lot of people that come here and violate a lot of rules and then have to give community service. So hopefully the court could give them the community service, and this could be one of the community service to help us to keep our grounds clean out of the snow. And also I want to thank Mayor Mock and congratulate him for registering in the Hispanic classes that is going to start. The lab start this coming Sunday. Like probably you all know, the Latin American Coalition have been founded in 1995 and have been 501c3 since 1996. And we are the ones that have brought a lot of programs to this town, like the citizenship. We started with the EV classes and all that. And today we are very gladly and grateful that the mayor have an interest to learn a language, and that we have a lot of community that are willing to do the same. Mayor, thank you. And I thought that I'm going to leave it as a record that it is the first mayor in the city of Plainfield that are interested to learn the language and the culture of Spanish.
Thank you.
Jeff Dunn, 537 Belvedere Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey. Just want to say thank you, Council, for allowing the employees to have the services of the Legal Shield. I want to say thank you in regard to the suggestion. Hopefully that the city will see light in regard to the value and the resources that this organization brings. I also want to say I really admire the City Council for what you do. You guys really have some tough decisions, including the mayor, as far as your staff, but you guys get paid. These guys don't. And I want to say it's not easy. It's easy to be talking from the back and basically make comments and complain and condemn others and not participate. I ask those who complain and condemn and criticize. You talk about the problem, what are you doing for the solution? A lot of people, it's easy to basically be in the back seat. It's easy to criticize people, but my question is, what are you doing to help? What are you doing to work through the problems? Where is the volunteerism? I ask everybody in this room right now, and you guys are doing it. It's tough. You have to be consistent. You have to come regularly, you spend long hours, you make tough decisions, some are not popular. And I have to even say to those who I don't agree with, I have to admire and respect the fact that you do serve. And I may not agree, but you do serve the city, and I want to applaud you all for the commitment that you make. It's long, it's hard, it's not easy, and I want to thank you as a citizen of Plainfield.
Thank you. Any more for privilege of the floor? Seeing none?
May I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Good night. Drive carefully home, please.